Hi.
This is the
Hi.
Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming.
It won't.
When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
The Monty Show, as always, presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business. I tell you every single day, my friends, if you get in an accident, don't trust your insurance company. If you get hurt at work, don't trust your workman's comp insurance. Go to somebody who's been there, who's fought that fight hundreds of thousands of times. That's the Advocates. Get clear, risk-free advice at theadvocates.com, or you never pay a penny out of pocket. 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. The Gremlins are out. I don't even know right now. I don't even know.
I said, yeah.
Why would you start the show with that? Oh, Grok, bro. Hey, Grok. How about today in the news?
Dude, today is going to be one of those shows that is unconventional. It's not going to include a lot of college football. So if you're not here for a good time today, just skedaddle on along.
You don't have to be here for a good time, but be here for a long time.
Yeah, goodness.
It's not the same. I think this is one of the most unique news days of the entire year. This thing with Elon and Trump, absolutely in a Pier 6 brawl. Aaron Rodgers, and again, maybe because it's Donnie and Grok, Aaron Rodgers had to sign today.
Of course, right.
Maybe he thought he could quell the old X machine.
And it's very powerful.
But I'm telling you, I want my flowers on Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron fucking Rodgers.
That's right. I want my credit on Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers announced today via his new team, the Pittsburgh Steelers,
you have a deal,
that he will be signing, and he will be reporting to minicamp next week with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Up to minicamp next week. Let's get excited.
Yeah, don't try not to tear your Achilles walking on the field, okay?
Yeah.
Come on. He's not going to play. It's over. Shitting himself in a dirt hole. Well, I got news for you. Apparently not, because Aaron Rodgers is back, and I will continue to die on this hill. The Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers will contend for an AFC championship. They will be there at the end.
I agree.
And I think they are better than the Buffalo Bills. I think they are better than the Bungles. I think the biggest question is who you got? Do you got the Ravens? Do you got the Chiefs, or do you have the Pittsburgh Steelers? Because I think that honest to goodness, I think with Aaron Rodgers and what I think is one of the top 2 defenses in the NFL.
For the Steelers?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that offense that they rebuilt, dude, well, they're better than the Ravens, I think.
All Aaron Rodgers hate aside, right? Taking an honest look at it. I think in fairness to what's gone on the last 2 seasons in the AFC as far as the AFC championship is concerned, in fairness to that, I'm the Chiefs and the Bills are the favorite to win the AFC. They have to be. They've been there every year for the last 3 to 5 years. They're always in the conversation. And, I just think it would be irresponsible to say the Steelers, just because they're adding Aaron Rodgers and
cracking open a Schlitz.
Dude, crack your beer open. Today's one of those shows, not even running from it. I would have the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I would have the Steelers. I would have the Bengals, and I would have
the Chicago Bears,
the Chicago Reinsdorfs. To me, it's the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Steelers. I think those 3 teams are level. I think Aaron Rodgers makes them that good, and I think we need to understand just how good DK is going to be for the Steelers. I need to understand what kind of dynamic do we have at play? Do we get, and this is something personally I would actually look forward to with Aaron Rodgers on the football field as a player. Do we get Aaron Rodgers of old where he is dominating teams with a snap count, getting free plays? Can DK be that bona fide number one? Because in my opinion, for the Steelers to thrive offensively with Aaron Rodgers at this stage in his career, they need that dynamic of, hey, definite number one guy that will beat you in one-on-one if you leave him alone, and then really solid number two. And I think if they can figure that out, they're going to be dangerous. But
best defense in the NFL right now, probably Denver.
Probably. I mean, the Steelers are certainly there.
If I think there's probably 5-6 defenses that could claim to be the best defense. I don't think there's any question if Joey Porter Jr. steps up and becomes the player that everybody expects him to be. Now, Darius Slay is also 59 years old. But if you said to me, what if I had to name the top 5 defenses, I would certainly have to put Denver, Philly, Buffalo has to be in the top 5. I think for certain,
Houston Texans got to be in the top 10 somewhere.
Close.
They've got a good defense.
I think if the Pittsburgh Steelers can learn to cover and Joey Porter can become a legitimate, consistent cover guy, snap in and snap out, that's a top 5 defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they're ready to. I truly think it's razor thin between Philadelphia and Denver as the 2 best defenses in the NFL, especially after the way the draft played out and free agency is played out. But my thing is Aaron Rodgers also makes the Pittsburgh Steelers defense better because they'll convert more first downs. And I think that's likely his biggest attribute. Now, he's not going to make the stupid decisions that Russ made. He's not going to be scared to throw the ball like Russ was.
Well, I think, hold on. I think this is a good point here. So for the team, like whether you want to look at the defense or the offense, Aaron Rodgers is the first quarterback they've had probably since Ben Roethlisberger that gives anybody the ability to say, hey, this team could potentially compete for a Super Bowl. Depending on how things shake out, what do the injuries look like? What does the flow look like? He can, if everything were to go right and you were to stay relatively healthy, nobody stays 100% healthy, but relatively healthy, good enough to where most of your, like, let's say your offensive line survives the whole year, DK only misses a couple of weeks and you're in a good place. Like, yeah, they could potentially compete for a Super Bowl,
but
and you haven't been able to say that.
But it will be the defense, because if they're not better than Baltimore on defense, who I think is that 5th team, right? If we're saying who the top 5 defenses are, I think it's close, and I think there's probably 8 teams to claim 5 spots, and we're going to have to get through September to figure out who actually is what. Mm-hmm. Is Denver a better defense? Can Houston be what they were? I know who Philly is. I know who Buffalo is. I know who Baltimore and Pittsburgh are, right? Like, I think it's going to be very close between Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and I want Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball more than I want Lamar throwing the ball. It's as simple as that. The
reality is he's going to throw it more than Lamar's going to throw it.
Yeah, and mainly they don't have a great running back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
I also, without knowing their schedule right off the top of my head, I also think you got to throw the Chiefs in there just with Spags. Talent-wise, they're not as good as the other defenses, but scheme-wise with Spags, they are very difficult to handle.
Does anybody, and if somebody could look it up for me, anybody know where the Pittsburgh Steelers open the season? Anybody know? Anybody have any ideas? Maybe you could just check ESPN real quick, pull it up on your phone. Huh. Anybody? I'm pretty sure it's New York Jets.
How does Aaron Rodgers do this every
September
year,
7th at 11 a.m.
Every year, bro.
1 o'clock Eastern.
Well, it's must-watch TV in week 1.
But look at their schedule. Their schedule has winnable. If you're an elite team, their schedule has winnable games. You'll beat the Jets, home for the Seahawks, at the Pats, Vikings. Now, another really good defense, but they don't have a quarterback. That's a huge issue. Because I don't care what anybody says. Say what you want about free Harbaugh, free scumbag.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any doubt in my mind anyway that J.J. McCarthy cannot perform at the level that Sam Darnold did. I just don't know how you would even get close to that.
Yeah.
If he's half as good as Sam Darnold, are they a playoff team? I think it's really close.
Yeah,
Because I think Detroit's going to be good again.
Bears are going to be way better.
Bears are better, and I think Green Bay is going to be better.
Yeah, what's the old saying? Every other year team, and here we are.
Yeah, but anyway, so the point is, I think they have a potential to start 9-0 at the Jets, home for the Seahawks, at the Patriots, Vikings, Browns, at the Bengals. That's their one potential loss. Packers and Colts. I think that trip to Cincinnati and then their 9th game on Sunday Night Football we should still be in San Diego, but our owners are scumbags who hired a scumbag head coach, the Los Angeles Chargers. That's going to be a tough game. And their schedule gets remarkably more difficult in the second half because after the Charger game on November 9th, Bengals at the Bears, Bills at the Ravens, Dolphins at the Lions, Browns, Ravens. Damn. So you better run out to like 8-9-0 if you want to have a chance to win the division and win the AFC.
Yeah, because I think that's the biggest thing. Are you even going to get out of your division? Because that division is not easy.
They're going to get out of their division, and I think they're going to get out of their division because I don't buy Cincinnati at this point. I mean, I really like Shamar Stewart. I think that was a very good pick. But I don't love that they drafted Demetrius Knight so high in the second. Don't love that. And if I look at Baltimore, I don't know that Baltimore, after Malachi Starks is going to be a stud. But Mike Green down in their draft, I don't think there's a starter on that team for the Ravens. And they're really deep. LeJontay Wester obviously is a wide receiver who can make an impact on that team. And I actually think Carson Vincent, the Alabama A&M tackle that everybody raved about, well, he wound up in Baltimore, and there's a chance he's going to play there. But if we're really looking at that division, the question is how many impact players did the Steelers get in the draft? And I think Derek Harmon from Oregon is a monster on the defensive line. I think he is going to be absolutely crazy good. Jack Sawyer, the fourth, you guys all know him. He's going to contribute. There is no question about that. And I'm really interested to see how Caleb Johnson does, because you were the guy at Iowa. They need a running back. That job's available in Pittsburgh. That job's available. Reps are available. Are you going to be comfortable handing the ball to a rookie and asking him to carry your load?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I do think too, if you think about who Aaron Rodgers has been, and it obviously depends on the scheme, right? This isn't unique to Aaron, but the running back quotient for Aaron Rodgers has always been an important one. When you think about how much he likes to throw it in the flat, when you think about his ability, because one of his strengths obviously is reading the defense and knowing when to check it down, knowing when to get the defense, draw the defense offside, just manipulating things. I mean, that's what has made him so successful. And so when you talk about rookies at, the running back position as an example, that's not as big a deal as it would be if it was like a wide receiver or certainly an offensive lineman, but it still has an impact. And I think that, the biggest thing that they have to avoid is injuries, and that's not unique to them. But
Aaron Rodgers has to avoid it. If Watt stays healthy and Rodgers stays healthy, that team's going to win the division.
Yeah,
because I think they will be better than Baltimore.
How many years do you think he can play? Because if let's say they go out and they get to the AFC Championship, but they lose, if you're Aaron Rodgers, do you run it back? I mean,
I don't think you do. I think you got to take it 1 year at a time, because if he winds up, I mean, dude, what happened in New York? I know we all go back to when he hurt himself, like the first 8 seconds into the game.
Which, by the way, was really unfortunate. I would wish that on no one.
Yeah, it's a freak injury.
Yeah.
You have to look at his numbers last year when he played a majority of the snaps, and he played really well in a shitty system in offense, much of his making.
With a lot of rookies.
And not a lot of talent. So my point is, I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to get hurt. The guy knows how to work. He knows how to be in shape. He trains his body. I get the UFO, government-created HIV. I totally get the weird stuff. When it comes to football, and that's what certain people, and I'm not pointing the finger at anybody, I really am not singling anybody out. Certain people cannot separate the UFO and the HIV. I hate when it does that on its own. The HIV stuff from Aaron Rodgers, the football player.
I'm not even wearing pastels today.
It's a dark day for you.
Yeah.
It's a dark day for you. Donnie took an ass beating. And so you're in a situation where
it's difficult. No question. It's difficult.
I think there is no question in my mind. There is no question that Aaron Rodgers is somebody who, for better or for worse, and whether you like him or not, that guy's really good at playing quarterback. And I think it's almost impossible to overlook the fact that last year he played 17 games and threw for 3,897 yards. And more to the point, without a real established offensive line and without elite wide receiver play, he threw 28 touchdowns against 11 picks.
Yeah.
Now he had a dominant running back, but I mean, the guy can still play the game. And everybody was calling him, to be an MVP in his last year in Green Bay. His numbers last year were better than his last year in Green Bay. Same amount of games, very similar number of reps. Nobody was talking about him as an MVP last year. Oh, he's a bust. He's done. He's too old. He's always hurt. Well, it turns out that's not the case because his numbers last year were actually really good. One of the better quarterbacks in the NFL last year.
Yeah.
And I know people hate that, and I know you guys are rooting against him. But you take the crapping himself in a dark, dirty hole thing away, and Aaron Rodgers can still play quarterback in the NFL.
I agree.
I think it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. And you know what, Eric? I think he's 76 years old, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
He might be 78 by the time the season starts. Nobody?
Something like that. I mean, I don't know.
I think, what is he, 36?
Dangerous misinformation.
Or something like that. I mean, listen, I think it is very clear to me that Aaron Rodgers, he's on the wrong side of 35.
By a mile.
Right? I mean, I don't, let me look. How old is
41?
Hey, Siri. How old is Aaron fucking Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
Born in 1983 then, right? 40, 83, 93, 2003.
83, yeah. Yep.
2023.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's 41 years old. He's going to be 42 this season. That's a lot of miles on the tires, man. So, Eric, that's a really good question. Rodgers isn't an artist. He's a choke artist. That's a big question. Can the guy win big games? He didn't do it in Green Bay very often, right? I mean, you lost a lot of games and you lost them at your crib,
but
too.
You were in the playoffs constantly.
You were playing in important games for sure. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think the first question we need to answer is not whether they can get to the AFC Championship game. The first question we need to answer is, what does he look like in week 5 or week 6? What does he look like after he's been playing for a month, taking some hits?
What's he look like in November and December when Patrick Queen is running him down?
Yes. What does that look like? And what does the team look like? Because I agree with you based on the schedule, you do have to get out to a 8-9-0 start. And if you don't, if you're 6-3, that's
it's a
still
huge
good,
problem.
but that's not what it needs to be.
It can't be 6-3. If you lose 3 of those first 9 games, you're done. Because the end of their season is incredibly difficult. And I look at, I'm just going to tell you now, Baltimore's schedule is the exact opposite. They listen to the Super Bowl contenders on the Buffalo or the Baltimore Ravens schedule. The Bills, that's 1. Browns, Lions, that's 2. At the Chiefs, that's 3. Texans, 4. Rams, Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals.
Bungles.
Steelers, that's 5. At the Bengals, Patriots, at the Packers, Steelers, that's 6 Super Bowl contender games against Super Bowl contenders. 6. That is incredibly difficult. And you start looking at the Ravens and you're like, okay, well, if we are who we say we are, can you really make the case that that defense can hold up? Roquan's got to be healthy. He's the beginning and the end of everything on that defense.
Yes.
Because when it's Roquan Smith, and I remind you that they re-signed Kyle Van Noy, which is a huge deal. My feeling is that those are the two best linebackers in the division, but we'll see.
We'll see.
I don't have delusions of grandeur that he is going to rule the world. But if Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen are running their faces into each other and they're going head to head, dude, I'm here for it.
Dude, there's no question that there is going to be must-watch football that Aaron Rodgers is involved in.
And you're going to watch.
And you're going to watch. And I will definitely be excited to watch it. The point is, and what I really hope we don't get is a team that's an environment where they've underachieved for whatever reason. I'm not even saying it's Aaron's fault. But for whatever reason, and then we get the media games and we get just that negative ass vibe out of the team. That's what I don't want to go through with this. I'm here for, hey,
legitimate concern.
Potentially his last year. Hey, he's going on one final run. He's mission impossibling this thing. Like, we get it, dude. We get it. You're going on one final run here. And I hope that he gets the opportunity. But yes, I agree. He's got to prove he can stay healthy. I think, let's see what Mike Tomlin's behavior is like, right? I mean, this is the first legitimate quarterback he's had in how long? With all due respect to Russell Wilson. I mean, honestly, you haven't really had a stud at quarterback since Ben. And I think
I agree with that.
That's a really difficult place to be. And so this squad's been grinding and trying to work through football seasons without a quarterback. I mean, dude, tiny hands Mason Rudolph, like, dude, I get it, bro. You want to have
tiny hands.
You want to have Miles
Mason
Garrett,
Rudolph.
You want to have Miles Garrett throwing his helmet at you at one point on the football field on, I believe, Monday Night Football, if I remember correctly.
No. He didn't throw it at Mason Rudolph. He ripped it off of Rudolph's head and beat that ass over the head with his helmet.
What are you, nuts?
That was incredible.
So my point is, this team has seen some stuff, and it'd be nice for the NFL if we had, Ravens, Steelers, and hell, even the Browns. It'd be nice if the Browns were better.
But again, I'm telling you, I'm not the guy that's going to sit here and espouse the greatness of Buffalo. How many teams in the AFC are legitimate? Sitting here on June 5th, we're not even at Father's Day yet.
Mm-hmm.
How many teams are legitimate contenders in the AFC? Well, there's no question that the Ravens and the Steelers are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I have no idea what to make of the Buffalo Bills. I don't. And it's not that it's not even all on Josh. What I'm telling you is, when I look at guys like, I don't know, pick your favorite quarterback. Is Josh Allen better than? He is better than most of those teams, of those quarterbacks, right? I think we can all get down with that. But if I said to you, even in his division, they should win that division by multiple games. They should win that division. Are the Bills going to lose a home game this year? I don't think they probably will. I think they go undefeated at home again. The problem is, who do they start with? Well, the Baltimore Ravens. That's who they start with. And then you look at the Bills are at the Raven or home for the Ravens, at the Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Patriots, at the Falcons, at the Panthers, and then they come home for the Chiefs. They're probably better than the Chiefs in November, especially in Orchard Park, right? I would think. But they get the Eagles at home. So, I mean, they have some tough games at home. I think they should probably go undefeated at home if they're a Super Bowl caliber football team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's that much of a stretch. I don't. But I also start looking at the offense on that team. Are you telling me that Khalil Shakir and Keon Coleman and Josh Palmer, those are the guys that you want to carry Josh Allen? How do you not have one of the best wide receivers in football? Well, because you're a defensive team coached by a defensive coach. So I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens and the Pitts. I think they're 1 and 1A. I think they're level. Their defenses are amazing. They've got the 2 best linebackers in the conference. I love guys like Kyle Van Noy. I think he's incredibly intelligent and still playing really high-level football.
Yep.
But you give me Watt, Queen. I think Joey Porter Jr. is the X factor in Pittsburgh. If he doesn't step up, they don't win games.
Agreed.
Because they couldn't cover last year. But I look at the defense in Buffalo. They're back to what they need to be. Joey Bosa, don't forget, Joey Bosa is a Buffalo Bill. That makes them better. You put Bosa with Daquan Jones, Ed Oliver. They're exponentially a better defense.
Yes.
So now they have a lot more depth and quality. That's going to help them. We'll see. I never mind the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah,
they're going to figure it out.
That's why I say on paper this looks really even. Let's see how this pans on the field, because I think what we do know in the NFL is that it's never about who you are in August. It's always about who you are in December and
always
in November. And I think that, I again, for the record, I want the Steelers to do well with this, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't concerned. I am concerned. I think that,
But is he still Aaron effing Rodgers? I'm telling you he is.
Yeah, I think he has that in him. What I want to know is
what he
who
does
are
off
you?
the field is
Dude,
his own business.
He is a Zin-packing machine, I'm sure. Okay?
Anita, Dick, and me.
What I want to know is
Janus.
Buddy capable of leading the team when things aren't going well?
Is Buddy.
Yeah. Mr. Ayahuasca, first team all, Joe Rogan podcast guy, that guy. Yeah.
Guy.
Yeah, that guy. Separate
it. You have to separate it.
Well, I've spent 29 minutes separating it. He's
I've heard that about you.
Yeah, I'm Brent Stew. I'm taking care of him, dude.
So Ravens or Steelers?
I would take the Ravens now. That opinion will change if they prove that they are that good.
Okay.
Because I also think DK hasn't been in this kind of situation before.
No, he's never had this kind of expectations. He's got to be. He's got to be one of the best wide receivers in football.
Yeah,
not potentially. Not he's got the ability. He has to actually perform as one of the best wide receivers in football, because Aaron effing Rodgers is going to need him. And bros, you guys know I don't like telling you that I'm right, and I told you so.
Do you know what that's like these days?
DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Calvin Austin, Scotty Miller, and Ben Skoranek are a pretty good 5 wide receivers.
You're Aaron fucking Rodgers.
And Freiermuth and Darnell Washington are a pretty good 1-2 punch at tight end. With Aaron Rodgers, the question is, can they run the football? Can Jalen Warren, keep his job of being just the best 500-yard running back in football? Or does Caleb Johnson take his job from him? You didn't draft a running back not to give him the ball. So anyway, all right, let's get your thoughts in here. I see everybody trying to hit me on the Bears. Bros,
what do you want to talk about with the Bears, bro? What's the conversation?
You guys can sit here and you can try and pick apart Caleb Williams all you want. And I know, again, that Caleb Williams, he sucks, right? He is terrible. He's the worst. He is a bust. Funny, at the exact same numbers as Jaden Daniels, who won the Rookie of the Year, and is the best draft pick anybody's ever seen in the history of professional football. Jaden Daniels. Round 1, second pick. Oh my God, Jaden Daniels. He of that offensive line, Jaden Daniels. He of Terry McLaurin and Brian Robinson, and, great receivers, great running back, great offensive line, really good defense. That guy, he's the best quarterback anybody's ever seen drafted. Caleb put up almost the exact same numbers as he did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm happy to have the fight. And you can talk about Caleb Williams crying into his mom's titties all day long. I'm here for it. You want to talk about his nail polish? I'm here for it.
Are they built for speed or built for comfort, Mom?
Yeah. Did you motorboat those bad boys? Like, hey man, I'm all about it. Right. again, just like with Aaron Rodgers, put the Joe Rogan crapping in the dirt hole behind you.
That's every day.
And Caleb Williams happens to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL compared to based on his age and his draft position. And I have no question that Caleb Williams is at 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns. And I would remind you, and I know it doesn't matter because he sucks and he cries on his mom's titties. He only threw 6 interceptions last year.
Garbo.
He sucks. He's a bust.
Garbo.
He was sacked 68 times last year. So keep coming with your stupidity on him crying on his mama's titties. I'm happy to have the conversation. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. Happy to do it. And in fact, I hope you do. I'm all about motorboating.
Facts.
Dude.
Facts.
Let's do it
so
together.
You can go to Pound Town.
Yeah, send your mom over. We'll do it. T. Lawrence Gragston, Jaden Daniels is on a Hall of Fame trajectory.
Get the hell out of
I know,
here,
greatest quarterback anybody's ever seen. No, hey, I don't even run from it. Jaden Daniels, all 37 pounds of him, the guy is unbelievable. He is the greatest quarterback anybody has ever seen.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
Ever. Caleb Williams put up the same numbers he did and got sacked 68 times doing it.
You didn't start out great, but then we got momentum going.
You figure it out. And if that's what's required, if I got to motorboat his mom's titties to throw only 6 interceptions with 68 sacks, show me where she's at.
You have a deal.
I'm there. I'm there, Chief. Let's do it. Joey B, Jake and Monty back in black. The Jake colors are done. Very disheartening as a viewer. I need the sad background music.
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
I'm not the one who dresses kid skills anymore.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, some days I got to wear black on the show,
I do find it wildly entertaining that you guys comment on wardrobe every day. Rodgers will be like Favre, one season too many. Didn't Favre take in his last season in Minnesota? Didn't Brett Favre have a... Now, see, this might be revisionist history. I don't mean to tell you that's absolutely wrong. But Favre in his last season, 13 games, 2,500 yards, 11 touchdowns. 2009, you're right, 4,200 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks. You're right. He stayed one too many seasons in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. Not surprising out of you, Joseph Harper. Good call. Titty mentioned by Monty, plus over under 13.5 today. Could be.
What's the over-under on mentions of James's wife today?
Okay.
I mean, are we under that now? Are we done with that? Where are we at?
T. Lawrence says best quarterback ever drafted was Tom Brady. No, Jaden Daniels. Did you not watch the NFL last year?
Pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Jaden Daniels is the greatest quarterback anybody's ever seen anywhere.
Twitter's been going crazy.
Well, that's Gronk. But my point is, which is different than Gronk. But my point is, Jaden Daniels is the greatest quarterback ever. Caleb Williams, crying in them titties, is the worst bust anybody's ever seen ever. Anthony Richardson's a better quarterback.
Waves in opposition.
Even though he's done for summer because he re-injured his shoulder because, he had to compete for a job and he lost.
Yeah, man, wow.
It just, to me, it's crazy.
It really grinds your gears, huh?
It's crazy that people want to crown him. And Caleb Williams is a bust who threw 6 interceptions with 68 sacks. Same numbers, but he had 68 sacks. Anybody feeling dangerous? Does anybody want to know, how many sacks does greatest quarterback that
when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Ever seen, and I know that Jaden doesn't cry into his mom's titties. We're getting close to 14 now. And I know that Jaden doesn't cry with his mom and everything.
Excellent strategy, sir.
He was sacked 21 less times than Caleb Williams. But 21 threw 3 more interceptions. I know, but he's the greatest quarterback anybody's ever seen. So wait, let me get this right. You were sacked 21 less times, but you only threw 5 more interceptions? That can't be right. Somebody call ESPN stats and information. Get them on the phone. There is miscreants in their stats section because this can't be right. Jaden, I'll stop. Didn't Jaden Daniels play for Texas State? Believe he did.
Yeah, he's not the 7th best quarterback in the NFL, but
what kind of jackassery is that, TJ Beck? That is mean spirited, and they're
well done.
They're throngs of traveling fans through the Pac-12 stadiums.
What would I do without you?
They will find you, sir. Caleb Williams is a bust. You'll only hear that type of honesty on the Monty show.
Yeah, on the Monty program.
It's just wild to me. I'm fine with it. I truly am. I truly am fine with it because it makes my life better. Yes, and Montana is the GOAT. James,
Bro,
even though you were a coward yesterday and you were too scared to stay on the show and talk about Walmart managers.
6 o'clock class, dude. 6 o'clock class.
No, we had 6 o'clock seminality. Even though you were too scared to stay on the show to talk about Walmart managers.
You want to explain that?
Montana is not the GOAT.
No.
He's not the GOAT. Toot pants. James wife. Okay. Okay. Timothy O'Hara. Oh, new listener to the program. I don't mean to be a smartass. Maybe I'm too old to play Johnny Unitas as the GOAT. Okay. I have a Johnny Unitas jersey that I used to snowboard in before I got fat and ugly and almost died snowboarding. But,
Yeah, I think that's a little strong. But
it is a little strong, Zero Jaden Daniels play that Arizona State, not Texas. We know.
Bro,
God.
Dude, oh my God. You did not. See, that's how you know it's going to be a great show. You did not just come in here and try to correct somebody who was trolling on where Jaden Daniels played football.
Everybody knows he played at Arizona State and LSU. It's a Texas State reference.
Which you don't know about because you weren't here earlier in the week.
You should probably go back to bed. Walmart always rolling back marriages. I've heard that. I want to learn to snowboard, dude. I love snowboarding. In a 6-week span, my wife broke her shoulder and I almost died snowboarding. Which is to say, you want to hear something crazy? That was 3 years ago now.
Was that already 3 years ago?
I think it was, yeah. I went to the chiropractor on Saturday, and again, the spot where I had that fall, I have a rib issue where that rib displaces itself now. But it's fine. All right. Nobody remembers Jaden Daniels at ASU. They only remember Herm Edwards and recruiting violations. I'm just saying. I think it's fine. San Diego State, Glenn, enough with the Stifler's mom talk. Keep it clean. It's fine. Williams likes getting manhandled. I'm sure he does. All I know is he has almost the exact same stats as the greatest quarterback of the draft. All right. We should probably reset. Joey B, rib displacement, sign Marilyn Manson.
Damn.
There you go. Mine's a rear rib, not a front rib.
God.
Come out to Utah this winter. Let's go snowboarding. I live in Utah. And
again, take that nasty ass wanna be great PSG logo off your profile.
Seriously. Toot pants. Is GOAT based on individual stats or team championships? And he spelled Tom, T-H-A-M, as in Tom Brady.
Okay.
Yeah. It's based on your complete package.
Which Jake examines dudes' packages all the time. My point is, you shouldn't have to ask me if he's the greatest quarterback ever. Hey, Monty, who's the greatest quarterback ever? Tom Brady. Is Dan Marino a Hall of Famer? Yes. Would you rather have Dan Marino or Tom Brady? Nah, Tom Brady. Easy. It's not difficult. It's fine. Oh, look, Poncho's back. Or JJ. Well, there you go.
It's
Ferris.
You're just
stop.
At least try to act like you're not Ferris.
Please. If we could just get Monty to Utah at some point. Yeah, I mean, I've heard great things about the state of Utah.
Yeah, and being that this is an SEC show and we do this in, somebody's mom's basement somewhere in Nowhereville, Arkansas, apparently.
Yeah, that's the best part. People are like, get out of your basement, fat ass. Okay. Or your mom's basement. Well, how am I supposed to motorboat her titties if I'm not in her basement?
Yeah, it's a great question.
Yeah, will you think it through, please? It's fine. It's just me. T. Lawrence. Would you rather have Montana or Brady? Brady. Is that even a question? Is that even a question? I mean, you guys, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. And I think where did Pancho go? Did Pancho get filtered again?
Please check. Please.
You got filtered again. You got filtered again.
How do you do it, bro? What is it like to be on burner number 87?
Unlike last night, you lasted 43 minutes today, and I'm proud of you for that. But I wonder if YouTube filtered you for talking about JJ McCarthy in a positive light, because that just seems, I have no idea, but you do you. What a tool. Exactly. Like, how do you, Ferris? This is the third account, because I think if that's true, you have 1 strike left. Because yesterday it told me you had 2 strikes left, so you have 1 strike left. I'm just warning you. The next time you get filtered, and dare I look at what he got filtered for? Because you used an emoji.
Yeah,
you got filtered. This is your third time for getting filtered for the same offense. So you might be done. You might not be able to come back. You just can't.
I love that show.
You just can't help yourself, can you? You just can't help yourself. Fight on, natties. I'm warning you. Now you don't have a history of it. It's the guys who do it routinely.
Mm-hmm.
And Ferris Khan uses, I am sure, middle finger emojis but I'm telling you, Ferris, be better. Be better. Steely Matt says Ferris, give it up, dude. Are we all convinced that's Ferris?
Oh, there's no question.
I don't think it's a question.
There's any question.
There is no doubt. You got to give Ferris credit for consistency. And hey, I appreciate the interaction on the show.
Yeah,
I appreciate our long times on the show, such as in like.
Oh, okay. I'm
trying to help Jake pay attention.
Okay,
such as in like Aaron Wilson.
Nice.
America's favorite mailman, live from Lubbock, Texas. Aaron, good to see you, my guy.
Report live.
How about Texas getting hosed against Texas Tech in softball last night?
How about that being the most watched softball game? Let me pull the stat up really quick. 2.1 million viewers, most watched Women's College World Series game 1 ever.
Texas and Texas Tech.
Crazy.
That's right, eye patch. I don't kick people off. YouTube does it for me.
Yeah, you make YouTube do it to you.
And if we're really truth-telling, real quick, if we're truth-telling, why does YouTube do that? Because of porn bots. Our filters are turned up because when we were just a young burgeoning buck here on YouTube, all the porn accounts would come into our live streams and they used all of the emojis. So, it's fine. Let's see. Jesse Crum, I have my buckets ready to collect Ferris tears.
Damn.
Okay. Jeremiah Champion. It was a good game. It was an excellent game.
Yeah.
It was an excellent game. It was a very, very good game.
Perfect lead-in to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, I agree. Old Tatanka, a member for $7.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, long time no see. Yeah, where you been,
what's
Tatanka?
up, buddy? How you doing?
What do you guys make of Deion's comments the other day? Did you guys see that Deion Sanders, I can't remember because we didn't get to it, so I think I've bumped it out, but Deion Sanders saying that he had nothing to do or it wasn't his fault. And that Shedeur was highly prepared for his pre-draft meetings. Well, it didn't appear to be that way, Prime. So, and Tatanka, how's Colorado going to be this year? That's been a huge talking point.
hope not bad, dude.
on this show.
Yeah.
So we shall see. All right, if you're just tuning in, the breaking news today, Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. In the comments section, will the Pittsburgh Steelers go to the Super Bowl?
Aaron fucking Rodgers.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers will go to the AFC Championship game. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are better than the Baltimore Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I think the AFC Championship game is always a coin toss. It's one of the it's the old Niners Cowboys.
Yes.
It's that old thing because the Chiefs have been so good now for so long. Ask Josh Allen,
Mm-hmm.
the newly married Josh Allen, who, my God, speaking
Well
of motorboating, nice job, kid. Your girl's single.
I know. Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney's single now.
Yep.
So I'm kind of surprised you're not outside her front gate.
Mm-hmm.
Will the Pittsburgh Steelers win the Super Bowl? Big Blue Horses says no Super Bowl, losing a wild card round.
I tend to agree that they will be a playoff team. I would be a little surprised that I would be surprised if they didn't make the playoffs. I will say that.
How do the Steelers not make the playoffs? Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. Simple as that.
21 years in a row of the Pittsburgh Steelers finishing plus 500, I believe it is. Does that streak continue? Because that's what everyone wants to say. And I'm saying I think it definitively continues. I don't think it's even close that they will be better than 500. I think that they will make the playoffs. And I tend to agree with this sentiment that they will lose somewhere in the playoffs. Yeah.
So is it one of those things where all bets are off after they make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Did he ever have this defense in Green Bay?
No. Well, actually, the Clay Matthews defenses were really good, dude, in Green Bay.
Yeah, but I think this defense, it's very interesting.
Think about the 49ers Packers NFC championship game, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
That matchup that they wound up losing. That's the kind of scenario I'm talking about. We're sitting here wondering if a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers,
1983,
has enough.
He's only 10 years younger than me.
Yeah, bro. That's wild. I know.
That just hit. I was born in 1973.
Yeah, dude. So my point just is,
and he is 10 years older than you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's old.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So my point just is look, I think, again, it's not rocket science to say it all comes down to health, but really, I do think it all comes down to health. If he can stay relatively healthy, if they protect him, keep him off the ground, call a good game.
But what would have to? I think it'd have to be an Aaron Rodgers injury. I can't think of anything that would happen to the level of that, an Aaron Rodgers injury. What else could even possibly happen that they would miss the playoffs? Because I don't think he's getting hurt. They have a really solid offensive line. He's got fly ball catching wide receivers. He's got Freiermuth is an excellent tight end. They'll be able to protect him.
They should be good.
But that's my point.
Yeah,
so
they should be good.
It'd be really surprising seeing it because he is, and I don't even say this sensationally. He is more mobile than Russ is.
Mm-hmm. And I think he showed that last year.
And we saw Russ last year deteriorate to the point where he could not operate in the playoffs. Certainly late in the season, Russ was not good, right? So I think if Aaron Rodgers is upright and healthy, and there's no reason he shouldn't be, you couldn't possibly miss the playoffs because I think they will start 8-1 or 9-0. That Charger game in LA.
You set their schedule up?
Yeah.
When's the first time they see the Ravens in on their schedule?
Your mom's birthday. Let me look.
Oh yeah, after I motorboat your mom, Monty.
Stop. Why would you say that? That's so disgusting.
Yeah, when do they see the Ravens?
The first time they see the Ravens who play in Baltimore, it is December 7th.
Okay, what's the best team they see on their schedule in the first month?
At the Jets, Seahawks, at the Patriots, Vikings, Browns, at the Bengals, Packers.
Okay, the Bengal game.
Colts. I think it's the Chargers. In the first month, you said. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
like because what I'm getting at here
it'd
is, hey,
probably
what's your
be
first real good measuring stick game?
Foxborough, because I think the
they're gonna be
Patriots are
better.
going to be better.
That's on the road, yeah.
The Vikings are going to be shit. The Browns at the Bengals, Packers.
Man, you want to talk about a dude that's got pressure on him, dude?
I
JJ's got pressure on him.
I just think that JJ McCarthy doesn't have the it factor, and I think that it is going to be very difficult for him. Again, I'm not trying to belabor this point or be that guy. Do you guys remember how excellent Sam Darnold was last year?
Mm-hmm.
Put it in your head. He threw the ball 545 times, 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. That is, bro.
And just an epic collapse at the end of the year.
That is unbelievable. And he averaged 8 yards a reception, which is more than.
I will say this.
That's more than Geno. That's more than it's more than Baker Mayfield, more than Joe Burrow, the NFL leading passer. Dude, Sam Darnold had one hell of a year. When you are 5th in the NFL in passing, dude.
Yeah, I think one thing with JJ that comes to mind that we will learn very quickly this season with him. I don't believe at Michigan, JJ was ever obviously expected to just bomb it down the field. And,
no.
That's not, but I think what we're going to have to ascertain is, was that because of him or was that because of Jim? Because in my opinion, we don't know. I don't think anyone's got a real true gauge of what kind of deep ball thrower JJ McCarthy is and what his true arm strength is on the field in the game in the heat of the moment.
I think we have a real good idea because he's not somebody, and we talked about this, he's not somebody who can thrive without really good weapons. He's got them.
Mm-hmm.
He's
got
arguably
wide receiver in the league.
I was going to say he's got arguably the best wide receiver in football.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to see. He's never thrown the ball more than 322 times in his college career.
So
not a volume passer. Obviously
not a volume passer in college, but my point is, and again, I'm not a JJ guy, but this is what if you're, the Ferris Kahns of the world and Michigan fan and Viking fan, your question has to be not does JJ McCarthy suck or not. That's not the question.
That's not the question.
The question is, can this guy at the pro level with the weapons he has, can he be, can he do what Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams or, can he be, 3,500 yards? Because I'm not confident in that.
And there's no excuses for him not to do that.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think really stands out is, one, he had all the signals from the opposing defense. He knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
He had the calls. I think that's a huge part of this.
And for the record, I don't even think that's a red ass comment. I think that's a very valid point.
No, it's how he threw 11 career interceptions and obviously 4 in his senior season or his last year there. They had all the signals. And when I look at JJ McCarthy's profile, they never asked him to win them games. He's going to have to be the reason the Minnesota Vikings win games. Not a reason, the reason. You're replacing one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL last year in Sam Darnold, and you have no measurable experience running this offense or competing at this level. No measurable experience whatsoever. So we'll see. I mean,
so my point is, the only reason I brought that up is when you look at, you look at Aaron Rodgers and you look at the Steelers, and then you look around and you say, okay, well, their schedule, Minnesota's, I would say their first good defense they're going to see. I mean, the Patriots, I agree, are going to have a good defense. So the Patriots, then the Vikings, and then the Bengals, I think, are a real good measuring stick because I would agree with that. That's a team that can score. That's a team that
but that game's in Pittsburgh.
That game's in Pittsburgh. So I just
excuse me. I'm sorry. That's in my bad.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Either way though, I just want to see this team operate against playoff caliber teams earlier in the year and see what they're like. I mean, again, theoretically, if we take Aaron Rodgers out of it and all the stuff we're talking about, we just say, hey, who are the Steelers going to be? Well, we know the Steelers to be a run-first football team that's really good defensively, that typically doesn't have a quarterback, that now has one.
Now can drive the ball down the field.
So that's worth something. And it remains to be seen. But I right now, today, I am not putting this team ahead of Baltimore. I'm not putting them ahead of the Bills, and I'm not putting them ahead of the Chiefs. I think you can talk about the Bengals. I definitely think, anybody that's Bengal level or below, I think you can talk about, certainly. But I think those three teams, I think you're going to have a hard time making a case that they are right out the gate better, mainly because they still got to learn how to play together, which I think is a big part of this.
I would agree with that. And all I know is that Aaron Rodgers showed last year it didn't take him long to build chemistry. And it's really important. What did Aaron Rodgers not do last year? Well, he didn't show up to minicamp.
Yeah.
And he's showing up to minicamp. I think it is without question. We have already seen tape of him and DK passing and throwing and working together. Yeah, I feel really good about it. I do. All right, a couple more because then we got to switch gears. Yeah, Eric, I think your Detroit Lions have a lot of questions, right? But they're in a division that one would assume is very winnable. I think if you look at the North, because I just don't think the Vikings with JJ and the Bears are not winning that division. Unless it just all goes right. The Bears are not winning that division. But is your defense better this year than it was last year? Because that's a huge question mark. You're changing coaching staffs. You have no idea what Aiden Hutchinson's going to be like. He got cleared 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I would say better is tough. The same, as good, probably, but better.
I don't know about that. And as much as I like Tyleik Williams, I thought was a really good pickup for them. I wish they would have gone with an edge rusher higher in the draft. Now, Tyleik obviously is a guy that can handle the middle of that line. I think he's going to fit right in. But I don't love a lot of the things that the Lions did in the draft.
Yeah.
I don't. And I look at some of that offensive depth chart. I mean, Jameer Gibbs is a stud. Who are we kidding?
Right.
But what is Jameson Williams? That's the guy for me. You've got to have two really good wide receivers. And he is, make no mistake, he is a guy, in my opinion, that's capable of being the best wide receiver in the National Football League. Why hasn't he been?
Can't say it's a system.
And it could be personality, right? Last year was clearly a breakout year. No question about it. It was his best year by far.
Yeah.
He more than doubled his targets, more than doubled his catches, 75% more yards than we've seen. Is that who Jameson Williams is? I don't know the answer to that question. But I think it is going to be really, really important to see what he is, because that's going to determine how far they go. Jared Goff is going to deliver the football. They're going to protect him. They're going to control the clock by running the ball. My guess is that defense will have Dan Campbell's broken nose mentality.
Yep.
You need to, because I like Tim Patrick a lot, the Utah alum. I like him a lot. He's not somebody you can count on as a number 3 option. And he is their 3rd option.
Yeah.
We need to see that happen. Johnny Gonzalez, Monty talks about all teams in the NFL having the best O-line in the league. No, I don't. Guy, I'm a Chicago Bears fan.
Yeah, what do you mean by like?
I think there are very few teams that commit the money that is required to have an elite offensive line. Defenses, there are teams, McDermott in Buffalo is a perfect example of this. There are teams in this league, like Buffalo, because McDermott's an NFL or a defensive coach. There are teams in this league that will outspend 5-1 on their defensive line versus their offensive line. And I'll never understand it, because you cannot tell me that you have Josh Allen and you have that level or that low level of wide receiver for him. And I know Diggs is on a boat banging hose and all of that. I'm telling you that it is a little difficult for me when I look at who are the best teams in the NFL. Who's got the best offensive line in the NFL? How about the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles?
Right.
Who have continued to do that, right? There's no question. I think their line's really good. I think Tampa's got a really good offensive line. I think Minnesota, and again, there's no excuse for J.J. McCarthy, because Minnesota's got one of the best offensive lines in football. Because who's their head coach? An offensive guy. That's why you have Darisaw and Jackson and Kelly and Freeze and O'Neal, and they're 7 deep on the offensive line, right? But if we go to the bottom half of the league, let's go to the bottom half of the league. And I can tell you that the worst teams in the NFL have the worst offensive lines, and it's not close. The Cincinnati Bengals have the worst offensive line. So why can't they win big games at the end of the year? Why is it really close? Well, now, because you spent all that money on your wide receivers and Joe Burrow's locked up. So now, well, who's going to suffer? Well, the offensive line's going to suffer, and you're not going to win games. What happened to the Houston Texans last year? Couldn't protect the quarterback. Could not give C.J. Stroud the time and space that he needed to throw the football. Did they advance? Did they grow? Was that no, it wasn't. Great defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL, one of the shittiest offensive lines in the NFL, right? And we can keep going. We could talk about, obviously, the Browns don't have a quarterback, don't have a running back, don't have wide receivers, and don't have an offensive line. Other than that, my God, they're lethal offensively. Like, are you out of your mind? Like, that's one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Why are the Dallas Cowboys floundering? Worst offensive line. How is Caleb Williams sacked 67,000 times? One of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Like, it is.
Yeah, I'm just not sure where you get off thinking that he's saying that every offensive line is the best in the league.
I've never said that.
Yeah, that's just not accurate, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. It is crazy to me. Monster, Ultra, Paradise, and Ultraviolet are great with a mix of vodka. Okay.
I mean, it's not quite Friday yet, but I mean, if you're getting a head start, I get it.
Yeah. Big Daddy Magic. This has to be a Bills comment. Now you're talking the truth about the Bills. I hate the head coach, but I love the Bills. You don't have wide receivers. But you got a great defensive line. You got your defense, your package.
Yeah, your package.
Great defense. You didn't spend any money on wide receivers. And you have an NFL MVP in Josh Allen. It makes no sense, but this is why I go back to who did the Bears hire as their head coach? Well, let's see. They had a rookie quarterback who got his ass handed to him by a terrible offensive line. And you had no offensive continuity, and you had coaches
have to be negative
who refused to spend time watching tape with the rookie quarterback. So
why would they do that?
You hired the best offensive mind available to you. So what did you do? You spent $60 million on the offensive line. You went and got another wide receiver after drafting wide receivers and signing a career stud in a franchise wide receiver. The only thing you don't have is a running back in DeAndre Swift. But you drafted a tight end, you drafted a wide receiver, spent $60 million on the offensive line. Why is that? Because you hired an offensive guy, right? Dan Campbell's the lone exception in this conversation. Why does Lamar Jackson not develop as a passer very much? Why is he probably at his ceiling? Because you have a defensive guy, and they spend all of their money on defense. See Roquan Smith.
Mm-hmm.
All the money in Baltimore. Now,
Is on Lamar and the defense. That's
Lamar and the defense.
Yeah.
Right? So we can just keep going over this and over this. That's the way this league works. So it's not difficult. I can't believe the Baltimore or the Buffalo Bills did not do more to support Josh Allen. Because I don't know that there's more he can do. He stopped throwing interceptions, stopped turning the ball over, and you still lost.
Yep.
But now, what did the Kansas City Chiefs do? Kansas City Chiefs drafted a guy in Xavier Worthy, who everybody said was a reach. Well, it turns out he's actually not a reach. He's a stud.
And now he's got a year of experience and development, and now he's getting better at running routes.
On a 15-2 team. And then what did you do? Who was your number one pick in the NFL draft? How about Josh Simmons from Ohio State?
How, bro?
Because they know what we all know. You got to protect your quarterback, right? And I would also remind you, what else did they do? Oh, they went heavy defense. Norman Lott from Tennessee, stud. Ashton Galati from Louisville, stud. You look at their draft, they're going to be fine because they address needs. Anyway, I could rant about it. I hate NFL franchises who won't. If you're going to draft Caleb Williams, if you're going to draft Mitch Trubisky, right? If you're going to draft quarterback, and with the bit, Justin Fields is a great example. Maybe, crazy, I understand. Maybe put everything they need around them and build a system to play to their strengths. I know, bizarre.
Monty, why do you say such wild things?
I'm telling you. You used to drink Buckshot, now you're drinking Monster. What happened? Hey, Monty is still the promo code, and it's one of the best promo codes at Bucked Up.
Still use their subs.
I use their collagen and their creatine every single day. They spent their money on Bryson DeChambeau, and I say that's really smart because Bryson and Conor McGregor. Yeah, other than that, they've got plenty of marketing money.
Right.
We still have one of the best promo codes there. Promo code Monty, Monty Monty at buckedup.com. Get 20% off your order. I love the guys at Bucked Up. Big Daddy Magic, I agree with you. Thanks. But Monty, no but Monties. They broke so many folding tables.
I know,
my God.
I know.
How many Buffalo Bills fans wound up in traction or sea callers trying to jump on tables? A lot. Johnny Gonzalez, who hates anything that is true about football. Josh Allen will take the Bills as far as Haley will let him. Okay. World War II, Schindler's List, end of discussion. What are we talking about Schindler's List?
What are you talking about today, bro?
Ravens don't even have a DC as a head coach. Harbaugh was a special teams coordinator. Well,
fair take. Fair play.
But where do they spend their money?
Yeah.
Right. Zona, Black Hawk Down, great film.
Okay. Again, why are we talking movies?
Yeah.
Like, who started that?
I don't know. Josh Simmons, San Diego State transfer portal casualty. Yes, he was. Timothy O'Hara, just curious. You said Tampa has a good offensive line. Do you have a problem with them going heavy on defense this year? I don't. Certain people on this show.
And when I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
Walk around.
Stay hard.
With Baker Mayfield. Certain people on this show think Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.
Jake doesn't think that.
No. I do think he's really good for them, though. I think he's a great fit.
I think, and I have to go back and remember, because Baker had a great year last year. What was it, 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns? But the Buccaneers, Emeka Egbuka, needed to draft a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then I think their defense, I'm telling you, Benjamin Morrison was a steal in the second round.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them going defense. I think the thing you got to remember is that at some point they're going to have to reinvest in offense at some point. Now, again, I don't have a problem with that not being this year. Like, I'm cool. I'm good with it. But that's going to happen. And I think that, that division is trash. We all know it's trash. There's really no reason why you shouldn't be winning that division, pretty much every year right now.
And you did draft Tristan Wirfs, 2 years ago?
Yeah, you did.
And he's a stud.
He is a stud. He is. So,
I know I'm not supposed to talk about how good or bad offensive lines are. Baker Mayfield had a phenomenal year last year, and Igbuka is a stud. I like what they did across the board, though. I mean, I think I get Tez Johnson in the 7th round. I mean, that's an unbelievable. To add Igbuka and Tez Johnson that's really good footballing, in my opinion. So it is what it is. You need a third guy paying attention to the chat discussion, Monty. I probably do. But Monty, the NFC South is wide open for the Bucs. It is. I agree with that,
bro.
I agree with that. Johnny Gonzalez, June 6th is tomorrow, and we don't have a Friday show. June 6th.
Not sure
what that means.
What?
Pearl Harbor was a terrible movie. It was stop. Band of Brothers isn't a movie. It's a
damn good show.
You can actually watch it as a movie. I don't know how many people know that. I think it's still on Max, but Band of Brothers is a series. It's the best World War II, call it what you want, drama, biopic, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
So based on true story. Saving Private Ryan. Upham.
Stud.
I'm telling you, great movie. Pearl Harbor with bowl cut hair kid and Ben Affleck. Terrible fucking movie. Like the worst. That movie sucked. It was not good at all. If you're going to do a Pearl Harbor movie, it's got to be accurate.
It has to be.
Accurate. The Monty Show, as always, presented by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. NBA Finals, do you care? We'll talk about it in 30 seconds.
You're not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the Advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
You deserve an advocate. Advocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Get clear, risk-free advice. Won't cost you a dime. You never pay the Advocates out of pocket. Quite literally, is nothing out of pocket. You don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. You get a check for a settlement. They take their fee out of that check. You never reach into your pocket. It should not cost you money to get your best defense possible. The Advocates know that. They love it. They love you. They love our communities. Hook it up, theadvocates.com. Hey, Lopes fan game.
Nice.
How about those? You guys ready for this? How about those interlopers at GCU coming to the Mountain West? Boy, did we have that fight the other day.
Seriously.
Hope Little Lope and Mrs. Lope are good. Eyepatch says, that's what I said. I've heard that about you. As a World War II historian, Pearl Harbor kind of pisses me off. The movie, the actual Pearl Harbor pisses me off,
Seriously.
Awkward. And not what he meant. That movie sucks. Do you have a favorite war movie? Dunkirk is too violent.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed Saving Private Ryan. Honestly, that is
great storytelling.
Sensational movie. The problem is that I don't think that there was a Netflix movie that they did that I really enjoyed. That was let me pull it up really quick because it was a big movie, got great reviews. Let's see, war movie.
I think Saving Private Ryan. Is Oppenheimer a World War II movie?
Kind of, but not really. 13 Hours with John Krasinski was excellent. But not a war movie in the way of Saving Private Ryan, much more of a modern day.
What about Inglourious Bastards?
War movie, yes,
Nazis.
but not. Yeah, Brad Pitt was sensational in that movie.
Sensational,
but not. When I hear war movie, I am much more skewed towards the Saving Private Ryan style of movie. You know, like just because a movie is about, you know, World War II, let's say, or whatever, or World War One, like it's two different genres in my opinion.
I don't know that there's a close second. I don't feel like there's been one
that's been close to Saving Private Ryan. I would agree that Dunkirk is probably the closest thing we've had to it, but it just was another level of brutality because of the technology in filmmaking now and what they could do in that movie.
That cast was Barry Pepper. That's who. Yeah. Barry Pepper in Saving Private Ryan. God damn. Yeah. Adam Goldberg. Oh my God. Giovanni Ribisi. Oh my God.
I mean, really, the only
I forgot how was Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel was in that movie. Tom Sizemore was in that movie.
Tom Sizemore's a stud.
Yes.
Honestly, really the closest thing to you know, Saving Private Ryan in terms of vibe. I mean, probably Black Hawk Down. Honestly,
no, Black Hawk Down.
I mean,
there are some really, as difficult as Saving Private Ryan is to watch.
Yeah,
because it's a tough movie to watch. I think Black Hawk Down is one of the most difficult movies to sit down and watch. Like, it's the action, the death, the violence, the oppression. I mean, that is, you want to talk about some of the Afghanistan war movies, like the Desert Storm movies.
American Sniper? What about American Sniper? See, now that's not a World War II movie, obviously.
No, but that
was a tough watch, and that was a long watch.
The way he dies pisses me off, dude.
Yeah,
like to end like that, like American Sniper is tough.
So, favorite war movie, probably Saving Private Ryan. There are several that are in the conversation, but I just think that nothing compares to Saving Private Ryan.
Not for World War II. There are several. There are several like modern day war movies. I think, unfortunately, in the Middle East, when you talk about like Desert Storm or Afghanistan, they're too much like Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So we don't take it seriously or understand. Yeah, I mean, like Aleppo is a movie that if you haven't seen Aleppo, it is wild. But there's a lot of them.
You know, one I really enjoyed? I really enjoyed both of the Sicario movies. Those aren't war movies per se, but those are definitely military, you know, kind of gnarly movies.
Man. The Outpost. Oh, yeah. Lone Survivor. Oh, my God.
Lone Survivor was wild.
Bro. Restrepo. Oh, my God. Yeah, Restrepo. Oh, okay. Yeah. Don't even get me started on war movies. I am. Ted Danson and Saving Private Ryan.
I do feel like the amount of movies made around Afghanistan is much higher than around World War II. And so I think it's Saving Private Ryan doesn't have a ton of competition, but even if it did, I'm not sure that it would beat it.
Wasn't Full Metal Jacket Vietnam?
I believe so.
Wasn't Full Metal Jacket in Nam? I think Forrest Gump's the best Vietnam movie. It's not. Full Metal Jacket, dude. Some of those sniper scenes in Full Metal Jacket. I mean, it's not even the drill sergeant getting killed or the war scenes in Full Metal Jacket. I loved that movie. Like, it is. Whew, that movie. Well, Apocalypse Now, obviously, is a legendary film, but I think it really is. It really is amazing. And well, Good Morning Vietnam, though, O'Hara is. I think people don't understand how realistic that movie was. The drama, the script writing. Okay, I get that. That storytelling was very realism based. Even though there was, Cronauer and the embellishments, I totally get that. But what what the radio meant to those men and his personal life, like it just was really interesting. Platoon was excellent. I loved Platoon. We were soldiers, yep. Platoon changed the way I watched war movies. And the way that, oh man, the cast in that movie, dude, was unbelievable. How did we get here?
Some random ass comment in the comment section. I couldn't tell you.
Platoon is a movie. Charlie Sheen pre-AIDS, and when Charlie Sheen of that era, dude, unbelievable. And I think it is a movie. If you have not seen Platoon, you have to understand Vietnam, though. I also think those of us that grew up post-Vietnam, again, I'm a 73 baby.
Mm-hmm.
So those of post-Vietnam, our parents were so heavily affected by Nam that movie meant something. That movie really meant something. So I think there's a lot of great movies out there, but I think, oh, that's a good point, Eye Patch. Yeah, Full Metal Jacket compares to Saving Private Ryan. I think that's true. It's just the battlefield realism in Saving Private Ryan. I mean, where Upham shoots that German soldier.
Yes.
After the German soldier had killed his army teammate. Oh my God.
Oh, and the knife scene.
Yeah.
As well.
Where and I can't remember the character's name, but he's telling the German soldier, we don't have to do this. We don't have to do this. No. We don't have to do this. Right.
Yeah.
Where Private Mellish, played by Adam Goldberg, is telling the guy, hey, we don't have to do this. We don't have to do this. And Upham walks in, and the German soldier and Upham had been eye to eye, and Upham couldn't kill him earlier in the movie. Oh, dude. The way they turned that all back into itself was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just the storytelling. Ted Danson in that film was amazing. But I'm going to tell you, Band of Brothers.
Band of Brothers is awesome, dude.
The winter foxhole scenes. Oh man, just incredible. I think we are very fortunate not to have lived through that generation, because a lot of us would have died on the beaches.
Yeah,
a lot of us would have died in Europe, because it was just hellacious. I mean, I have so much respect for that. But anyway, I think it is crazy when you look at these movies and you look at things like Platoon. Again, Platoon is so unbelievable. But again, I don't even joke. The Nam stuff with Forrest Gump. You talk to people who were in Vietnam, and the amount of money they paid for consultants on that film to get it right. Dude, Vietnam was different. Was it worse,
We
better,
Were Soldiers
unique?
With Mel Gibson.
Not bad. I hate Mel Gibson, though.
I know. But just a Vietnam movie.
I think movies about Nam and movies about World War II are different and unique. What Vietnam did to multiple generations, we'll never understand it. And our parents lived through it. I'm 52. My parents and my grandparents lived through both. I have family that served in both. And it's just crazy to me, the lack of understanding of probably millennials and younger.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea what Vietnam did to this country or did to generations. They have no idea. And what we did to the Vietnam vets is...
No, millennials are 9/11 in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Millennials are Call of Duty. You're Call of Duty. That's it. And I'm not in. So that's what your vision of war is. We are so detached from what barbaric war is. And I think it's because we have desensitized ourselves from the violence of war because of video games.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, we didn't have that. We were playing Asteroids and Galaga. We weren't playing Call of Duty. And I think it desensitized generations. I truly believe that. Perry Stevenson says Red Dawn was good. It was good. It was good. It was very good. Perry also said, I lived through Vietnam, and our country treated those vets terribly. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And I don't think we understand how many generations, how much greatness was lost in what we left on the battlefield there in every war, whether it is Iraq, Afghanistan, look at what's going on in Gaza in Palestine, that the greatness being left in graves over war, you'll never be able to tabulate it or figure it out. And but it is who we are. It just is who we are. Hollywood romanticization of war is to blame here. Oh yeah, we absolutely romanticize war. Oh, he was such a great sniper, and U.S. was undefeated until Vietnam, where 58,000 young people from America died, and we lost anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go too far into the politics of it, but eye patch. Yes, Band of Brothers is the greatest World War II series based on actual people that served in that platoon. Amazing. Rock and Rant. What's up, my guy? Good to see you, dude. Can we take a moment and pray for all the Twitter bots that are completely confused as to what to do today? Come back here in an hour and we'll be praying for Twitter. If you are not up to date on Donnie versus Grok, it is everything we need.
It's incredible.
Jake texted me today before he got to the studio. We're driving in and he's texting me like, this is what I needed.
Donnie versus Twitter is what I needed, dude.
What Elon did today.
I'm here for it.
I think because I'll in an hour. We'll talk about it in an hour.
Stay hard.
Because it should be Told You So Thursday on the Marty program. Because how long did you think that was going to last?
Yeah.
How long did you think that was going to last? All right, let's talk about the NBA Finals. Game 1, Pacers at the Thunder. Did you guys see the line on this game? I checked it right before the show, and it had dropped to 9.5. I had it at 12.
Sorry, I thought you said it dropped to 9.5.
It was at 12, depending on the app you use and the folks who are taking your ducats. It was
shitty.
Whoa.
What happened there?
I don't know. We were glitching. We're good.
Really?
Go ahead. Sorry.
It was as high as 12.
Yeah.
Which is terrible for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Are you at all excited about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good series. I think that, the underdog vibe for Indy is who they've been all year. I mean, this is who we've known this Pacer team to be. And I clearly OKC is going to be the best team they've seen in the playoffs. No question about it. And yes, I do think OKC is going to beat them. I have a sneaking suspicion, though, excuse me, that this is not going to be some easy, close to a sweep style series. I think that Indiana just has this propensity to find ways to, get under your skin a little bit, find ways to kind of get in those areas that you don't want to have to defend, play the game a different way than you've had to defend before. And I think they have a chance. I think that Indiana gets in trouble when they get a little bit too 3-point happy, when they get a little bit too cute with trying to draw fouls. If they run offense, if they can move the ball, they're going to have an opportunity, because I don't care how good defensively you are. If the ball is moving and you're generating open looks through that ball movement, which that team has shown the ability to do, then you're going to have your chances. But what we know OKC does and will do is they will suffocate you if you just try to play pick and roll and you don't move the basketball. They will suffocate you. And so I would be shocked if game 1, they roll out and they're just trying to play a basic ass pick and roll. I would be really surprised by that. And I think you have an athletic big in Miles Turner who can move for you, who can do things for you. He's tough. He wants to beat the other team up. Like, I think he is the most important guy in this series. But I think this winds up being a 6-gamer. I don't think it goes to 7. I think Indy is going to win a game in OKC. They should not win. And I think it's going to be entertaining. The problem is for the NBA is this is small market versus small market, and the viewership's going to be way down. And yes, let me get it out of the way. The Stanley Cup final last night was miles better than this series is going to be.
Bro.
And that's what I think the trouble is.
I First of all, goddamn, your boy got paid on Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com, promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y. PrizePicks.com, download the app, Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more. 3 for 3. It's your boy paid off. Goaltender saves and Connor McDeasy with 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a huge problem for the NBA because my opinion is the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to cruise through this series. And I can't believe this gets past 5 games. I just think that the Indiana Pacers have been living a charmed life with these crazy 3-pointers out of not very stardom like Tyrese Halliburton, who I know is your favorite player. But I just don't think that you can win an NBA championship the way that they have played and what they have done to sustain themselves through the Eastern Conference playoffs. I just don't think you can do that against OKC. I think OKC is going to win this series in no more than 5 games.
Okay. And that may happen, but I just don't think it's that much of a gimme. I think that, I agree that Indiana's had buzzer beaters and had their moments, no question about it.
The Knicks collapsed and were stupid. And how many times? I think it was counted at like 6 times that Karl Anthony Towns simply turned the ball over inexplicably with under a minute left in a game. 6 times in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Karl Anthony Towns turned the ball over.
But you can't seriously be saying that the Pacers are only here because they played bad teams.
No, I am saying that the Pacers are out of their 9 lives because the Knicks were the better team and absolutely mentally collapsed and did not have a system in place to overcome that. And Tyrese Halliburton throwing up multiple, I think 3 Hail Mary threes to tie or win games. And I just like, you look at what's won them games. If Aaron Nesmith doesn't get crazy hot in multiple games, they're not here. Like, he had historic shooting nights.
Mm-hmm.
They're not here. If Tyrese Halliburton doesn't hit those 3 unbelievable shots, they're not here. If Pascal Siakam doesn't have not 1, 2 career nights against the Knicks, they're not here. It at some point, you're not, it's not that you're not good enough, but you're just not able to sustain that level of unbelievable against a really, really good defensive first team like OKC. I just think, where is Oklahoma City going to struggle against Indiana? That's, if we're really going to talk about this series, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the best player in this series. It ain't close. Tyrese Halliburton is not half the player that SGA is. Do you agree with that?
I think that's a little harsh, but yes, I do think SGA is head and shoulders better than he is. Yes.
Significantly better.
Significantly better, yes.
Their one win is going to be Luguentz Dort, because Dort just is not an offensive player. But what is he? It's a lockdown defender. So if we look at, that's the matchup that they have to win. The problem is, if it's not Dort versus Nembhard, they're going to bring in Alex Caruso, who is a better defender than Luguentz Dort. And so Nembhard's not winning that matchup. And then you look at Aaron Nesmith and the rotational defense that Oklahoma City plays is probably going to have him facing Caruso or, I would guess, Jalen Williams. And at that point, you're probably bringing in Isaiah Joe for stints. You're probably bringing in, like, Cason Wallace is going to play some of that. Like, they're really good defensively, and they're 9 guys deep defensively.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do? Is Pascal Siakam better than Chet Holmgren? I think he is. But is it substantially better?
Yeah, I think the question's going to be, what kind of foul trouble can Tyrese Halliburton get their bigs in? I think, to me, that's what I look at in this matchup.
I would agree.
I think Hartenstein is an opportunity for Indiana. I think Miles Turner should beat his ass every game. And if he
but
doesn't,
they don't play Miles Turner.
But they're going to
in the
have
third and
to
fourth quarter
in this series. They have to because
Yeah.
SGA is on the floor, because you don't have the freedom and flexibility offensively that the Knicks allowed you because they just didn't play great defense.
But if Jalen Williams, Jaylin, Jalen Williams, stays on the 3-point line, is Miles Turner really that much of a factor? Because what did Miles Turner do to torture the Knicks? Well, he hit the 3 ball.
Mm-hmm.
That really was a difference maker in some of those games.
Mm-hmm.
That's not happening against Jalen Williams.
I think the other thing you got to consider here is the Pacers played in 5 of the highest foul games in the NBA this season. So this is a team that has no problem drawing fouls and playing that kind of game.
How much of that was Hack Mitchell Robinson? Probably 10 of those fouls, right? Were Hack Mitchell Robinson. And I think the Knicks are slow, plodding, methodical basketball, which lends itself to close contact. I'm telling you, OKC loves to get out and run, and they rotate the ball enough that that's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see, man. I'm not saying the Pacers are going to win this series. What I'm saying is they're not going to get swept. They're not going to lose in 5.
Okay.
I think
break it down. What do you see? Like, okay, if I had to say, give me one matchup that you have to have.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Pacers, you have to have Miles Turner against Hartenstein. You have to have that matchup. You have to have you also, I think, if you're the Pacers, you have to have Tyrese Halliburton coming off the switch against Chet. I think Chet is somebody. I love Chet. I love his offensive style. Love his game. But the reality is he's an opportunity for a guy like Tyrese Halliburton athletically. You think about, Tyrese is coming off the screen. He's going to get downhill. Got to either get Chet in foul trouble or finish, right? I mean, that's got to be a goal of Tyrese Halliburton in this series, and we'll see how OKC rotates and chooses to defend. Are they going to leave the corner open and help? Are they just going to play straight up stay home defense? That I think I'm looking forward to tonight to kind of see like what OKC is going to employ here. But yeah, I think you got to have Miles Turner against Hartenstein. You got to have Tyrese Halliburton against Chet. And then I think you need your McConnells of the world. You need your role players to come out and be solid. You don't have to have unreal, wild performances like you did against the Knicks, but I think you need to have, 30 points coming off your bench. I think you need that in this series if you have any chance to beat this team, because you're not going to be playing, 125, 120 basketball. You're playing, 105 to 100 basketball. And that's, you haven't played that kind of basketball in a long time.
OKC's -9, 230.5.
Yeah. And in that respect, hey, that respect, is warranted. I think they've earned that, right? Their defensive ability, offensively, they're a really good team, obviously, but I'm just telling you that then just because they're favored does not mean that they're going to come in here and just blow the doors off this team. This team can win in multiple different ways. The reality is, though, they get inconsistent offensively. Indiana, they get inconsistent. They get a little bit lazy.
They
start to lean on the threes. And if the three's not going down, we know what that does to modern NBA teams. So my point is that yes, OKC's the better team. But I think Indiana can make this a long series and can make this difficult, but they're going to have to be consistent and they're going to have to stick to the game plan. And Tyrese Halliburton can't have the 10-point night that he seemingly had in the Knicks series. Now, was that because he knew they were going to beat the Knicks? Was that because he felt like they were in control? Or was that because, like Monty always says, he's an average-ass player that has some nice moments?
All right.
I don't know, dude.
What I know is that Prize Picks is ready for you, because, and maybe this is just justice. This is simply, you guys ready? Battlefield justice.
Mm-hmm.
As Tyrese Halliburton is the free play tonight at 13.5 points.
Let me guess, you're going to try and take less.
Well, I am going to take less because he routinely doesn't score 13.5. I know he's a super. That's not true. I think he has scored 13 and a half points in his last 5 where he's averaged 19. I think you got to take more on Tyrese Halliburton. The real difficult one here is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think this is the one.
Free throw attempts, dude.
He is not a free throw getter. Stay away from his free throw attempts. I'm telling you. You fucked me on this last time. I'm not letting you do it again.
Stay hard.
I'm not letting you do it again.
Okay.
Well, hey, man, he's a free throw getter.
Okay,
he
so
only
take
needs
less.
10 and a half.
Take less.
He had like 2. He had 2, Jake. Okay, well, let's bet the over then.
Take less then if you're so confident.
Why? I'm not playing with his. I swear, you're not talking me. 10 and a half free throws attempted.
Okay, do points in the first 5 minutes. 4 points in the first 5 minutes.
Butthole. I think points, rebounds, and assists is one of the only places you can go here. The problem is the number's 45 and a half, and he's averaged 44.8 in his last 5 games.
I'm taking 2-pointers attempted. Number's 18. He averaged almost 19 attempts a game from 2. That's where I'm going.
Okay. Jeez. It's really difficult on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Mhm.
So I made Pat. It's Gilgeous. I'm kidding. No, hey, Monty, you got to pronounce it right. We get it. I think Chet Holmgren is one where you can. Does he get 9 rebounds? He has not had 9 rebounds for 11 straight games.
Probably not.
Don't you go less?
Yeah.
I think you go less. That's a value position there. And then I think you either go, because Pascal Siakam's got some numbers I like too. I think the 3 assists on Pascal Siakam, he averages 3 in his last 5. So what are they asking you? 3 more or less?
Yeah.
I think that's a really tough one. But his defensive rebound numbers, it's 5, and he averages 3.6 in his last 5 games. So I think you take less. And as always, the key formula to win is 3 picks on a flex play, and you'll make that bread. So that's what I'm doing. 3 picks on a flex play, and it is what it is. That's what I got. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the promo code Monty. You deposit $5, so it'll give you 50 more at Prize Picks. Big Blue Horses for $2. NBA or NHL, which matchup benefits its league more? Oh, the NHL. I think last night, did you guys watch McDeasy dominate? I went 3 for 3 on Prize Picks last night. Thankfully for overtime. I went 3 for 3 on Prize Picks last night.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled with it because I'm telling you, if you have any interest in hockey, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I don't know what more you want. It was a sensational performance.
It's the first time I've stayed up late to watch a game in a long time.
Fantastic. And the play that won it, bro, I don't. Connor McDavid might be the most unselfish superstar that exists in sports. And a lot of times it's to his detriment.
Corey Perry is the real hero of last night. But
I would agree with that.
But Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl deserve a ton of credit, dude.
McNugget. I would agree with that 100%. I think that when you look at the way that they played that game last night, dude.
Yeah.
It's everything you want. And I look at everybody on the good news is that absolute POS. Do you know how there's some players where you're like, dude, I cannot stand?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, that could be one of them. There is no question about that. But you know how there's just there are just some guys where you just want to pee in their cornflakes.
Yes.
And you don't understand how they are allowed to walk the world. That to me is Brad Marchand. who should get hit by an elevated train in Chicago the next time he's in town. I honestly, if he trips and falls and loses an ankle in a sewer, I would not be upset. I just cannot stand his face. I want to slap him with an anvil every single time I look at his face.
Okay.
I mean, honest to God, I want to punch him in the face with a Mack truck. I just hate him so much. And then you go on the other side of it, and Stuart Skinner's one of the best stories in the NHL because nobody believed. Now, he gave up what could have been a soft goal, I guess. But man, you start looking at the way that Edmonton put those lines together, and you look at some of the ice time last night. One player had 30 minutes on the offensive side, and that was my guy McDeasy.
As
and
he
he lived up to the whole thing. Just fantastic. Calford gifts 20 Monty Show members.
Nice job, dude. Nice job.
Try to keep up.
Yeah, my bad.
As always, Calford, good to see you, my guy. Appreciate your contributions to the show. Joseph Harper gifts 5 Monty Show members.
Nice job, dude.
Joseph, who is a Prize Pick stud. Appreciate you very much. Let's get your thoughts on the NBA Finals. Capazzo, what did I miss? You missed nothing. Nothing at all. Just waiting for Taves to join Detroit.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, man, I hope he makes his comeback successfully.
37 years old.
I hate what the guy's been through, Jonathan Taves, and he deserves a better ending, and I hope he gets it. That's some deep hate, Monty. It's Brad Marchand.
Yeah,
what is there to like? Welcome to the nightmare. If you're here, hit the like button. Yes, please do. Appreciate that. Calford with the upside down. Pacers will pull it off. Okay. There's no chance Pacers pull it off. Slap Aaron Rodgers with an anvil.
Agreed.
After the Steelers win the Super Bowl, so I can tell you I told you so, I'm happy to do it. But Monty, no Texas State fanatics in the chat today.
Nah, we didn't title the show something about Texas State sucking or being a small school.
Correct.
So, I mean, they weren't here for it today.
Toot Pants says Jake's reaction time is slipping. He tends to doze off. He tends to doze off on us.
Yeah.
And it's rough. Hey, real quick, a couple things I want to get to. Did you guys see the story on the Chicago White Sox? The Chicago White Sox did what every college athletic program should be doing. They got in a hot injection. Oh, yeah.
You did.
Yes, they did.
Yes, you did.
They got an injection of private capital from the Ishbia family and have agreed to sell the Chicago White Sox over the next 70 years. It's like the next 8 years.
Yeah.
Which is really stupid. I don't understand it. Justin Ishbia will be able to buy the Chicago White Sox no later than 2034. And as soon as 2029, when 89-year-old White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf will likely be out of the picture. And he'll make a capital infusion into the White Sox as a limited partner, paying down debt while helping, quote, support ongoing team operations. Reinsdorf will have the option to sell controlling interest to Ishbia. The agreement states if a deal isn't completed by then, Ishbia then will have the option to take over after the 2034 season. Reinsdorf will continue to own and run the team until that point. It's a brilliant move. Jerry Reinsdorf, his ass is as tight as anybody's.
Whoa.
The guy won't spend $1. And he claims it's the money he's not making on
Hugh Janus.
Old Kaminsky Park, U.S. Cellular crap hole, or whatever it's called these days. I think it's a brilliant move. I think private money is a solution in sports, and I don't know why more people don't use it.
Totally agree. And I think that, I think if you're the league, that this team is trying to do this type of stuff, and you got to be really careful with this. You can't let it. The teams are better when you have a singular owner who is invested in the outcome, obviously. And private equity is clearly growing in stature. We all know this, but it can't get to a point where, you've got massive corporations just owning teams. And not to say that that's what this is, but I just think that whether it's college football or pro sports, like what I don't want is I don't want to lose the identity of, hey, this family owns a team, and they, that they're solely invested in its outcome. And, it's unfortunate most of the time we get the Jerry Joneses of the world or whoever you want to point to who just can't seem to figure it out. And there's always drama. But I also think you have other families in sports that have figured it out and do actually invest. And you probably hate them because their team wins, but at least they're investing. At least they're trying. And that's what I think the conversation is.
And what I'm trying to figure out is why on earth is every college football program not doing this?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. You have escalating costs with escalating debt, and you have a need to upgrade all of your facilities so that you can simply compete in recruiting so you can win on the field. Yet we tend to hold these colleges and these football programs to, we would never do that. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Jake not having the Cubs game on in the studio. It's unthinkable.
But here's the thing.
Right?
It's not unthinkable because every time the Cubs game gets on and Dansby strikes out,
we missed a PCA home run.
Oh, so now they're playing well, so we want it on the tube.
But my point is, why does every major college football program not do this? Because, and not that we're talking about Texas State today, but if you look at conferences like the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, they cannot compete financially with the power programs. You just can't. And so what I'm pointing at is, if you're a power program, you damn well better be doing this. You see Kevin Young from BYU got an extension today, a long-term extension.
Mm-hmm.
You think that happens without private equity? You think happens
BYU
without
is where they are without private equity from, the Jazz owner?
It's not happening. And I think it is in my mind mandatory that you do this. And I think that you have no choice but to bring private equity into sports. And it's not even, it shouldn't even be something you're hesitant about. You should already have a program in place that allows you and facilitates for that. You have to be able to have, like I look at North Carolina with Bill Belichick.
Yes.
You've got Lombardi and an entire infrastructure who act as a CFO on down the chain. Every college football program has to have that, yet they do not. And I think it is what is plaguing the wannabe behemoth that'll never be a behemoth because they just won't do it. It's the biggest problem. And the story is always the same, right? It is, hey, it's Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. We're not NIL transfer portal.
We don't do that.
Yeah. And Lincoln Riley the other day.
God's name, image, and likeness.
Lincoln Riley the other day talking about how, they didn't have the NIL motor running. How? Well, because you thought you were USC. And it turns out players don't care what you are unless you're rich, and then they care what you are. And I just will never understand why you do not bring in private equity to help you advance the initiatives that you have to advance to win national championships.
Because I think the people in college athletics are not that forward thinking. They don't. I think there are a few people in college athletics who are. I think most of those folks are in the SEC. And I think Greg Sankey's one of those people and understands why it's necessary and understands how you could potentially use it. But I think this question of, okay, well, if private equity invests, how do you get that money back if you're not winning on the football field? And I think that's what people are scared of. And I think that it has to start small and you build up just like anything else. And that's what I think, the casual football fan doesn't want to talk about is that college football is a business. And it's as simple as that. Like, we're all here to watch the game, but the reality is those games, you have to win those games right now. And obviously, if private equity was involved, you'd have to win them at a greater rate. But the Texas States of the world, how are you going to repay, what private equity invests if you're not winning regularly? That's my question. Because the thing is, institutions and athletic departments are not assets. They're not like a good that it costs $1 now, but in 10 years, they're not like a house, let's say, or some type of investment that'll just naturally grow. That's not how it works. It has to be, you have to water that plant. You have to get a good coach who then understands NIL. Then you have to have boosters who will pay for NIL along with the private equity. And then you've got it's this whole thing. So I just think that in college athletics, you have to have, number one, the balls to be able to talk about it and to be able to feel good working with it. But then number two, you have to have the know-how and the willingness to go out and get something done. And I feel like most of college athletics is just unwilling, which is why they're going to stay right where they are and they're going to have a lot of trouble moving forward.
And I detest this next screenshot I'm going to put up. And I hope y'all know that. And this is what I have dreaded for how long on this show. The House Energy and Commerce Committee is going to have a hearing. And if you read down, it's winning off the field legislative proposal to stabilize NIL and college athletics. Witnesses will be announced and are by invitation only, and the hearing live stream will be available at yousuck.com. I want nothing to do with this. It is this. We've talked about this with the Sabinator. We don't need the federal government getting involved in how to adjudicate college athletics. I think obviously the only way this works is if the lawsuits are banned or stopped or I don't know what this could possibly be for. I hate the idea of our government spending time and taxpayer money to figure out how to pay kids NIL money. I hate the concept.
Yeah, I think that the federal government is this situation in our country right now where you're getting involved in things that we don't need to be involved in. I agree with that. But then secondly, I think that it's just such a mess. Like, I don't want to go down a whole political rabbit hole, but the reality is we're talking about college athletics, and now we have committees in the federal government having to look at how to fix this. Like, I don't know what else needs to happen for people to get on board with the concept that you have to streamline college football and we have to have more organization. We have to, it is too big right now. There are too many cooks in the kitchen, as they say. There are too many people with say. At some point, there has to be some type of governance over it. And the federal government, I'm sorry, I don't want tax dollars going to managing college football. I just don't. Like, I'm not interested. I want college football to fall in line and say, okay, cool, here's where we're going. This is what we're doing, and everyone needs to get on board whether you like it or not. And that's what needs to happen. So, this committee's spending their time on this. Okay, cool, I guess. Are we supposed to be excited about that? Because I'm not. I mean, what's the first dumb rule that we're going to have in terms of how college football is run because a committee of people who knew nothing about the business of college football put in place?
I want nothing to do with it, dude. Honest to goodness. And I think tomorrow is a really important day. And I think we'll wind up having serious discussions on this show Monday about Michigan and the Committee on Infractions, because that meeting, I believe, is tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's like the last major thing for the NCAA. Don't forget that. There's a lot of change happening in college football. This Michigan issue is one of the last things.
But what have I told you about that? They're going to make an example out of Michigan because it's their last opportunity to make an example out of Michigan.
Yes.
And I think there's so much more that college football needs to accomplish before we start writing rules and laws and legislation to fix it.
Agreed.
And let's get in control of all the other political issues in this country. And I know this will be a big, beautiful piece of legislation. Anybody? But We don't need this. We don't need this, in my opinion. And Okie Light. How easy is it to separate the government from state schools? Not that difficult. Not that difficult, in my opinion. Yet here we are. Vegas could invest into the Mountain West. I don't even think it's that. It's private capital funds and firms.
Yeah.
It is. And, the last time I talked to somebody in college athletics about this, the PIF that owns Live Golf is trying to get involved in college football. And nobody's taken the bait yet. But that's going to happen. I mean, if you look at how many Saudi investments, Middle Eastern investments are in the NFL, how many Middle Eastern investments are in English Premier League football, obviously different ecosystem and climate, but they're in the NFL. I think they're in the NBA. Well, is it so much a stretch that Middle Eastern investment, that oil money is going to be invested in college football? I really don't think that it is.
It's not.
And I don't love the idea, but, Big Daddy Magic, I wish Utah would have more. Utah needs to turn up its NIL game.
No doubt.
And they're working on it. Wasikowskinator, college football NCAA needs a commissioner-style format, and that's coming.
They need to go to an NFL minor league model. Like, it's so clear that that's what the sport needs. They need framework. They need not people deciding who gets to the college football playoff to have access to that money. Like, you're talking about that money after the House settlement and everything else going on being the lifeblood of athletic departments on some level. Like imagine all the people who aren't Georgia and Ohio State.
But again, how many other fucking things could they be excuse my French, but how many other things could our Congress and legislative entities and bodies and committees be focused on?
Yeah, it's ridiculous
Like,
that they're spending time on college football. It's just unnecessary.
I mean, it galls me, dude. Oh, hell no. Congress has better things to do than this. I totally agree with that. Totally agree. Okie Light, nothing else going on in the world? Nothing.
Apparently not.
I mean, cut school funding if you don't play by government rules. That's already happening, obviously. Monty, we all know rich alums who have shitty football teams are reaching out to their representatives to solve the issue. You're probably not wrong, right? Yeah. Look at Harvard, because the federal government went into Harvard and said, you're going to teach like this. And Harvard said, no, we're not. So now you have all of that happen. Like, we have so many other issues that we should be pointing at and fixing other than college football in Congress. It makes me crazy. It really does. Real quick, I don't like politics, but I really would love to hear your guys' opinion on this. What's your thoughts on Trump and Elon now beefing?
Let's get into it.
I mean, we can get into it if you guys want to get into it. I mean, we're going to get into it anyway. This thing is wild. And if you have not seen what's going on, this is just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They've been going back and forth, right? Like there was that weird stuff in the Oval Office last week where Elon Musk showed up with a black eye. Well, what happened? Okay. Well, what started this string of tweets? Oh, it was probably this one right here. Elon Musk lost his patience with Donnie today. And now you guys remember, how many times have I said this? These two were destined to come to this point. There was no way. And now we know that I think we can all agree Doge was a complete failure.
Right.
Like Doge staff now, Elon now letting it be known. They found no fraud. They found no, under the table dealings and none of it. Right. They went in there thinking they were going to find all kinds of fraud, and they found nothing. And eventually Elon got frustrated because he lost control of the things he wanted to be doing. And the cabinet and the people surrounding Trump, who I know he only hires the best people, Elon started clashing with them. But what led to this right here is Elon's got a platform and Donald Trump does not.
Well, and I think it needs to be said, and again, call me tinfoil hat guy, but now we're able to look back, right? I mean, is it any kind of coincidence that Elon Musk bought Twitter when he did and then got cozy with Donnie? Right? Because a lot of people.
Whoa. They had mutual agendas.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we hate liberals. Hey, we hate social media. They both got banned from Twitter. So now I'm going to buy Twitter, and Donnie, I'm going to let you come back. And he never wanted to come back and still really has not.
Mm-hmm.
They had mutual agendas.
Yeah, but Elon's flat out saying he wouldn't have won the election without him.
And I agree with that. Well, dude, when you give, what did he give? 500 million?
Well, yeah, but he gave 500 million and he controls Twitter. Like, come on.
He's got a huge platform.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. And this is not politics or Donnie, I hate him. Donnie, I love it. It doesn't even matter. When you're a guy like Donald Trump and you have skeletons, and universally, I think we all agree that dude doesn't have enough closet for all of his skeletons.
Right.
When you have skeletons and you lay down with big, powerful dogs like Elon Musk, because again, I don't care what side of the line you're on, Elon Musk is one of the richest dudes in the world and has a ton of power and a ton of reach. You knew you were going to lose. And with this little nugget right here, Donald Trump lost. And when you start coming out and you start getting all of this now, because now all of a sudden, I just can't believe that Twitter and Grok are serving Donald Trump's old tweets that really don't look good, right? And you start seeing this string of tweets now, and you start seeing this from February 7th of this year.
How quickly the tide has turned.
That went from that to this, right? And then how does Donnie react? Oh, we're going to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. Well, the only problem with that is, well, who's going to take you to space? Because what happened even before Donnie got in, Elon Musk privatized the space business.
Yes.
And has done, by most accounts, a fantastic job doing so. So you are wholly reliant. And remember, Donald Trump said Elon Musk saved our astronauts, which wasn't true. But hey, Elon Musk and SpaceX have really performed.
Yeah.
Right? And the name of his internet company went right. Starlink. Starlink has really performed. And what's one of the major fights between Donald Trump and Elon Musk? One of the first things that, and I want to say of all people, NPR pointed this out today. What was the first battlefield between Trump and Elon? Should Ukraine get Starlink? And should we take it away from them? Well, what happened when you take Starlink? You start pulling Starlink from pivotal places. Well, it shrinks his market share. And what happens when you start saying, well, we're not going to support EVs? Because remember, we talked about this on the show.
Yes, we did.
When Donald Trump started knocking down EVs and started making it more difficult to make electric vehicles in this country. And then, he did that little thing of put tariffs on China. Anybody know what Elon Musk's largest sales market is? China. You knew this was not going to last, right? Because you have these two behemoths running their face into each other. And so now, by the way, everybody knew this because there's all kinds of video of Donald Trump talking about, hey, I've flown on his plane before he was a president, or talking about how Jeffrey's a great guy.
Right.
Turns out he's not a great guy. And hey, we're going to get in and we are going to declassify the Epstein files. Well, let's see. You did it with the Kennedy files and you did it with the UFO file. What happened to those Epstein files, Donnie? Yeah, well, Donald Trump's name's all over them. That's what happened.
Yeah, they're probably sitting on the AG's desk for the last 4 months.
And you know what the worst part of this is? This is terrible for all of us.
Yeah.
You know who loses? You know, like right here, all of us.
Well, I think what's interesting is it's really the first time that I can remember. And to your point, we were talking about before the show, like there have been generals and there have been, figures,
chiefs of staffs.
Yeah, like there have been
attorneys generals, judges, everybody.
But there's never been a billionaire the way Elon's a billionaire going against you. Like, with all due respect to Donnie, and I do mean that, Elon has more clout than you do. More people care what Elon is doing, in my opinion, right now, than what you're doing. And I think that when powerful billionaires own social media companies, and those social media companies are not picture based, they are talking based, they are, opinion based, that's a dangerous game for you to try to win. And, I think there's no question about it. Elon Musk has shown to be, an innovator, an incredible mind when it comes to space and doing those things, and cars, obviously. But he's a loose cannon, bro. He is somebody who will use his power to let you know what he thinks. And I don't know, and the funny thing is, as part of this Donnie Elon thing, the Mike Johnson tweets of old have come out. There have been numerous Republicans
on this big beautiful bill.
Yeah. The old tweets are all coming out. And again, why is that? Well, that's because Elon owns Twitter. So what is he doing? He's weaponizing Twitter to expose all these people and shed light on the hypocrisy. So look, I just think that it's the situation where the comedy of it, I was definitely here for. I definitely was enjoying the beef. And I am curious where this goes, because I agree with you. You're not going to pull the subsidies. You're not going to pull his funding.
You're not. You can't. And mainly because the guy you hired to run NASA to try and kill SpaceX. Yeah, now you pulled his nomination. Jared Isaacman. Like you're in a position where if you're Donald Trump, you should have never brought Elon into a position of power, but you took his money because you needed it to win.
Yeah.
And this is what happens. And I think it's terrible for our country. I really do think it's terrible for our country.
But that's kind of the time we're in, I feel like. We're in this kind of chaotic time where, again, not being pro or anti Donnie, but just kind of sentiment, like just where the country's at, in my view, what I feel and what I perceive in the day to day. Yeah, things feel a little bit chaotic right now. They definitely feel a little bit edgy. They feel their tensions are up a little bit. And I think that I'm not the guy calling Elon a hero for this, like some other people, but I definitely think this is the first time someone with greater wealth, clearly, and someone with
real wealth
that is measurable and greater than Donald Trump's wealth by far, is stepping up to him and going to blows. And I just think we haven't seen it before.
And what are you going to do? Because Elon now is openly on X and pretty much everywhere talking about impeach Donald Trump. And if you don't, I will back your opponent in the midterms. And it's as ugly as it gets, because this Donald Trump cannot win this battle. He does not have the platform. Truth Social is a complete failure. And the other thing that Elon's kind of hinted at over the last week or so is Donald Trump's crypto business and outing how that whole thing is a house of cards.
Yes.
Like he's got it all, dude.
I just think that the interesting thing is going to be, because I completely agree. Elon is definitely weaponizing his power and his wealth. There's no question about it. So you've upset somebody who's got a lot of influence. And there was already a lot of speculation before this happened about, whether, how the Democrats are going to go about it, but really more how the Republicans were going to keep power, the midterms. And I think now this is just a thing where to this point, in my opinion, Donald Trump has been able to lie and spin and politic his way out of issues.
Yep.
And keep his politicians around him in a good spot with the media
But
and with the narrative.
and elections, safe in elections.
Yeah. But this one, I'm curious how he'll go about this because for him, I think the most ideal thing to do would be to get back on good footing with Elon. But I don't know that that's even possible because, the first step is going to be, think about the conundrum he finds himself in.
Oh.
Hey, well, I did this piece of legislation that's clearly been outed as having some negatives in it that people are pissed about.
Right.
And I cannot do a 180 on that legislation, right? You're not going to hear Donald Trump say that all of a sudden his big, beautiful bill is a pile of junk or whatever Elon called it. I can't remember the verbiage he used, but basically that it was a bad bill. And at the same time, you can't get back on Elon's good side unless you abandon the bill, right? Unless you say, I'm not signing it, don't pass it or whatever. We need to revise this and revisit it. So my question for Donald Trump would be, okay, well, how are you going to do this? What is your strategy going to be? Because at a minimum, what you're not going to get away from, no matter how much you spin and politic your way out of this scenario, is with voters, they know who Elon Musk is.
Yes.
He's
not trying to hide who he really is.
Yeah, they know who Elon Musk is. This isn't like, oh, well, he was some terrible guy. No, you're not doing that with Elon because of the size of his platform. So I don't know, man. I don't know how this works for Donnie, but what I will say is I do think it is good for the conversation. I think this is something that politics needed. I think that this could potentially have good side effects when it's all said and done.
I think bulletproof is a strong word, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there is ever a bulletproof dude, it's Elon. He's got more money than you even know about. And I think that while it is true that Tesla has really struggled during his time in the White House, and I think the board of directors at Tesla is not happy, Elon can turn that around.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is a lot of things that Elon's got to do at Tesla, figuring out now how, again, to compete with China, because I don't know how many people realize they built a Tesla factory in China that essentially handed a lot of information and technology to the Chinese, who have turned around and built really high volume selling EVs there. That's a huge market for Elon. I think the only thing I would say about Tesla's struggles, Elon can turn it around. He's done it before. He'll do it again. And will he be singularly focused on Tesla? We'll find out. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what even cards can Donald Trump play that could even make Elon feel the least bit uncomfortable. Because Elon, to most people's knowledge, Elon wasn't the one on the jet or on the island, right? Elon doesn't have a bunch of skeletons in his closet. He doesn't have a crypto scheme. He doesn't have free airliners from the Middle East, which is another thing that people are hinting at with Elon, releasing information. Like Elon Musk, you can say a lot of things about Elon. That guy's smart, and he's not somebody you want to go up against. Because when you have the
I just don't think you can afford to.
The reach and the money that Elon has,
yeah,
the resources, the intelligence that he carries, and I'm very curious how many people who leaked the ketamine rumors about Elon, who leaked that, who leaked his, all of this reporting about him being in an altered state or drunk or high, or who leaked all that. I'm really curious to find out at the end of the day, where were the leaks? And when we look at this, again, I don't even care about the politics. You can throw that out. But you look at the damage that Elon Musk potentially can do to Donald Trump, even just with the big, beautiful bill. Because that thing, how many...
Well, even Elon aside, that's dividing the Republican Party, something terrible.
But now Elon Musk is threatening to leverage it in the midterms. And if Donnie loses the midterms, dude, this is going to be a hellacious 2 years. I think Elon Musk doesn't just have to rely on Twitter or X, excuse me. He doesn't just have to rely on Tesla or SpaceX or, Starlink. Elon Musk just has to rely on what he knows to be true from his time in the White House. Bros, it's June 5th. He's been there for over 5 months. And he walked in there with carte blanche.
Mm-hmm.
There were no books he could not open. There were no doors he could not kick down. And they did. And you're seeing a lot of that come back. But the bottom line is, what information did he gather? Do you really think a guy of Musk's intelligence didn't know this was going to blow up at some point? Do you really think he wasn't keeping evidence and notes and information? Absolutely he was. Absolutely he was. And so my point is, I think the big, beautiful bill, that's just the beginning. Him funding the midterms would be a worst case scenario for Donald Trump. Because if he loses the House and or the Senate, good night. If he loses, if Mike Johnson's not the Speaker of the House, you're in real trouble. If Hakeem Jeffries or whoever the Democrats put forward winds up taking control of the House, it's just going to get much, much more difficult.
Yep.
Much, much more difficult.
Yep.
And I don't know how you
That's
do
what
that.
I'm saying. I'm not even coming from a place where I'm like anti-Donnie or anything.
Not at all.
I'm truly coming from a place of like, I don't know how you navigate this, win the midterms, and go on to finish your term in a positive way. Because that's kind of what this is. I mean, if you're Donald Trump, you're looking at this saying, hey, like, bro, we have to get through this in a way that makes us look good.
Yes.
So that we can win the midterm and then continue to push our objectives through Congress.
Yes.
And then obviously finish the term strong and then parlay that into the next presidential election. But all of that is thrown sideways and down the gutter if Elon is truly, and again, emotional guy, and I think that needs to be said, clearly pissed off to,
Right.
got after it today.
But think about what that means. He's got goods.
Yeah.
Because he's pissed off and emotional and battling some. You don't come back from this. These two are not going to go have a drink at a bar and figure it out.
No. And no, I don't think this is staged at all. People saying that this is some kind of, scheme.
You do not go and get. You do not pick the fight that Elon picked today on Twitter without having the goods. This is not, Elon didn't bring a knife to a gunfight here, boys. Like, I think this is, and as much as I have had my differences with Elon Musk, I have always told you, I think he's wildly intelligent. I think he's got a lot of money, but you know what his number one characteristic and the scariest trait of Elon Musk, if you're Donald Trump, he doesn't give a fuck about you or anybody else. Elon Musk doesn't care what you think. Elon Musk doesn't care what anybody else thinks. When he's got a plan and he has got an agenda, he's going to execute. And I think that is really scary because few dudes think about what Elon Musk has accomplished. Do you accomplish just Tesla on its own? Has anybody ever accomplished what he did at Tesla? Has anybody ever accomplished what he did at SpaceX?
No.
Has anybody come as close as Elon was to failing at SpaceX? But he kept going, and what did he do? He succeeded. And if you don't know, I would point you to the fact that he's also in massive control of AI in this country. And when you look at the things where he comes from, and you look at PayPal, do you guys understand that Musk was involved in PayPal? Do you guys understand that the things he's done have not been small? The original X.com PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, Starlink, I can just keep saying it again, Tesla Energy. You guys probably don't even know this. Do you know how many solar systems in this country are powered by Tesla Powerwalls? I mean, it's huge. And I'm just, if I'm Donald Trump, I am really worried about this. I am Terrified is probably strong,
bro.
But there is no answer. There is no answer. You have to find a way to tell yourself that I'm going to let this go. And Donald Trump has never. When is the last time Donald Trump was like, yeah, I'm just going to let this go? Like, you look at all of his lawsuits, even most of the ones he's lost. Did he let the election lawsuits go? No. The E. Jean Carroll lawsuits? No. The rhetoric? No. And how many of those lawsuits has he won? None. And then look at the My Pillow guy. Did you guys see that stuff? The My Pillow guy, look at the Rudy Giuliani. Look at how many people have been left in Donald's wake. And somehow he just continues to survive. You're not going to survive against a guy like Elon if you just keep on keeping on. If you just keep doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, the question is going to be, who's got more baggage on who here? That's going to be the question. So we'll see.
I am fast. Are you rooting one side or the other? Do you have a rooting interest? I don't really have a rooting interest.
I think that my opinion is it's excellent for our political landscape right now to have these two fighting. I think that for so long, it's been Donald Trump against incompetent candidates, who, with all due respect, just can't keep up, and I think that Elon is someone who, can keep up, has the resources, and most importantly, has the want to. I
think it's terrible for our country, and it's another one of these things where it just never had to happen.
No, but this is what you get when you vote a certain type of way. I mean, I think that
I don't even put it on again. This isn't a political discussion to me. We're talking about two guys going head to head, trying to throw bombs at each other, right? This is Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield standing in the middle of the ring, like. You have a guy in Donald Trump who cannot compete with Elon Musk.
But when you say can't compete, what do you mean?
What can Donald Trump possibly do to damage Elon Musk? We have no NASA program. We have no way to go to space without SpaceX. So if you yank his contracts, which is what is being threatened.
I guess you're going to reboot NASA.
But how are you going to do that in any kind of efficient fashion? You're not doing that.
Yeah.
You're not doing that. I mean, it is wild to me that we've come to a place where, and I'm telling you, have this conversation outside of your Republican or Democratic beliefs. You don't even need to bring in politics. Take the two guys on their track records. Donald Trump has nothing to leverage Elon Musk. Nothing. Elon Musk has everything. He's got all of the ammo that he needs. If I'm Donald Trump, I am absolutely stifled tonight and absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Because Elon has clearly seen like the Epstein stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But look at all the things that Elon had access to when he was running Doge, whatever that is. I would be really worried. If I were Donald Trump, I would be really, really worried. I would be very uncomfortable with it. So, All right, let's get your thoughts, Gabriel. I don't know if it's just crowd fear, but I have never heard so many people worry about a recession. Well, I mean, how would you, with the tariff situation, recessions are very interesting. If this big, beautiful bill passes, it's almost certain. There's no way to avoid a recession, right? And I think you're right to be worried. This is what I always tell you guys. You need to be in business for yourself. You need to be in business. You need to not be working on somebody's paycheck, because that goes away very quickly. It goes away very, very quickly. And if you can work for yourself, that's far better. Calford gifts 20 Monty Show memberships.
Nice.
Wow. That's 40 today. I appreciate that. Wasikowski, Blue Anon Monty hasn't showed well. What does this have to do with politics?
Yeah, what do you mean, dude? Like,
I love the fact that and Eric is a hardcore Trump guy. We'll never say anything bad about him. It's not blue anon. I'm not even talking politics. I am telling you, nothing I have said here today is political. It's just look at the two guys throwing haymakers at each other, and who's going to win that? I don't know. Again, I'm asking anybody, what does Donald Trump have that could leverage Elon Musk? Nothing. Nothing. He's got more money than you. He's got more reach than you. He's got more influence than you. He's got more power than you.
He knows all the same people.
You are making him richer. Donald Trump has no choice but to make Elon Musk richer. What does he have on Elon Musk? What are you going to do? Are you going to pull his Tesla contracts? Are you going to pull his SpaceX contracts? Good luck. Good luck.
How do you pull his contract and make that out to be a good thing?
How do you try to crush Tesla? Okay, think through this. If Tesla, let's say they go away, today they just disappear from making EVs. Who do you think is filling that void? You think Chevy or Ford? No. You know who's BYD? Go look up BYD EVs. Dodge. With their Hemis. Elon Musk is the EV market here. Because you know who's number two? The Chinese. I tell you every day, if I was buying an EV, it would be a Toyota or a Lexus.
Mm-hmm.
It would be. There's nothing you can do to him.
And that's just not a political take. It's just the reality of it.
Teflon Cheeto. I don't know about all that. This truly is not a political debate. I'm telling you, this is Battle of the Titans. This is.
And you have to be able, and Eric, I'm not sure that you're capable or willing, but you have to be willing to take your political affiliation out of it and just look at the chessboard here. Like,
yeah,
I just don't think it's rocket science, no pun intended, with Elon to say, hey, Elon's in the driver's seat here in terms of who's got what and what cards are in their pocket and all that. Like, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is going to be very tough. Capazzo, NASA is still operational. They just contracted with Boeing, right? But what they don't do is launch rockets. You know what else they don't do? They don't launch satellites. You know what else they don't do? They don't take down space stations. They don't restock space stations. That's all. That's pretty much all SpaceX. Go look at the way the contracts are structured. It's, Gabriel, so that's why he tried guessing my age. I don't know what you mean by that. Again, the reason they are feuding is the green mandates, and that no, it's not. No, it is not. That's what the spin will tell you. So you think green mandates are the reason that Elon Musk went to Twitter today and said
that your boy was in the Epstein files? It's not proportionate, dude.
Promises were not kept. And things that were, when Elon Musk spends, and I don't know, I'm not even going to put a number out there. He bankrolled Donald Trump's campaign. He got him elected. Promises were made and they were not kept. And only time will tell as to where this goes. But when have you seen Elon Musk back down? Not even on X. Not even on X did he, on his purchase of X. He wound up doing it.
Yeah.
So did it cost him a pretty penny? Well, yes, it did. He did it though. So, Monty, how can we advertise your third side hustle?
What do you mean?
I'm not ready to talk about my third side hustle yet. At some point. This is modern day men who build America drama. It truly is.
Yeah.
It's not a Republican or a Democrat thing. And Trump supporters can't let that go. When Marjorie Taylor Greene turned on you
publicly,
turned on you over this big, beautiful bill. Okay, that's a political discussion. She didn't read the bill, and all these Republicans didn't read the bill. The problem is, what did Donald Trump say sitting at his desk the other day? Who knew the bill inside and out better than anyone? Elon Musk. So do you really think a guy who helped form and fashion that piece of legislation is now pissed about green initiatives? Come on.
And that's not what he's been tweeting about.
No.
He's pissed about the money and the debt.
There is no question about that. Because, and what he's really pissed about.
Put the pictures on the screen. I mean, what is he highlighting?
What
right?
he's really pissed about, and if you look at the tweets, right? If you look at the tweets, he's tweeting about debt. And he says Donald Trump says the easiest way to save budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's government subsidies and contract. Like, you're out of your mind. And you look at the Epstein files, you just start following it. Like he is retweeting Donnie from January. I can't believe Republicans are extending the debt ceiling. From 2023 of January. Extending the debt ceiling? No, bro, you're adding trillions to it. No member of Congress should be eligible for re-election if our country's budget is not balanced. Deficits not allowed.
Then what is this bill?
Which is not Donnie's idea, by the way. Some guy who, little Berkshire Hathaway dude first came up with that. Right? And you start looking at the things that these two are truly arguing about. It's bad for business for Elon Musk. This isn't green initiatives. No member of Congress, I couldn't agree more, 100%. I'm telling you, you can hide behind, well, it's green initiatives and they're hurting. What do you think hurts Tesla more, the steel tariffs or the Chinese tariffs? Or the import tariffs? Or where do you think, you have to fully understand what makes Elon Musk money.
Yeah.
And how much money he's lost working in that administration. Do you think he'd work in the administration if he knew that Tesla would be in the nosedive that it's in by the time he got out? I'm going to say no.
Probably not.
No.
So again, this isn't a political conversation.
It's not. It's not. And I think that it is. Yeah. Monty, wrong. NASA launched Starliner last year, and then it was damaged. It failed. NASA failed miserably. And to your point, SpaceX had to save the astronauts months later. They can't. NASA has no ability to launch rockets and launch equipment, and that's why they're paying SpaceX what they're paying them.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of have they tried. I never said they didn't try. I said they haven't done it. They've not been able to demonstrate their ability to take off and land. Two very important parts of the space program. And that's what Tesla or SpaceX has done better than anybody else. SpaceX is our space program. Look at their contracts. That's it's not, I don't know, man. Well, and we can all agree to disagree, I guess. I am telling you now that SpaceX is your space program.
Yeah.
And when Elon Musk has a pinned tweet about new political parties and impeachment on his Twitter profile, I don't think you're backing away from that.
And the problem is you're not doing anything about this. That's the thing. Again, bringing it back to this point, let's not get lost in the sauce of who's got more leverage. And the reality is Elon Musk in his position has more options, more ways to play the game, more ways to, beat you, air quotes, right? That's the problem. So I don't know. I am fascinated to see what Donald Trump will do in response to this.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. I agree with you. I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting, and I think
it is the best political situation that we have had in the last probably 5 years in terms of the health of our system, in terms of, power players working against each other. Because it's all fine and dandy when everyone's all on the same page and the Dems have the House or the Republicans or Congress, the Republicans have okay, cool. We get it. You can pass your bill through all of this, but it's rare that we have a time in our government when you've got a Republican president and a Democratic held Congress and they can all play together. And that's what this type of behavior starts to encourage, because Elon has the power of Twitter and has the ability to expose folks like Mike Johnson or whoever, for what they said 3 years ago or whatever about spending. Like, that's why I'm saying this is healthy for the system, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I just think
great for the country, not really.
Not
but
good for the
I think
country.
the political climate needs it.
Yeah, we have to be able to get to a place where NASA actually is launching rockets again. When you privatize space,
Yeah.
that was always
Anybody
bad,
can pay Elon.
right? That was always going to be bad. And I think like the Boeing thing that Capazzo is talking about, it's great in theory. We haven't been able to execute it. That's my biggest complaint. And I just continue to, this is why I said you have to unload Tesla. We talked about this at the election. As soon as Donnie won the election, you needed to offload Tesla.
Yeah.
Because there's just no way that the two were going to be able to coexist. And it was always going to end badly. And if you're Donald Trump, the problem is you picked a fight with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Because now you don't come back from this. I think it is going to be very difficult for the big, beautiful bill to survive this. I think, and it's not even, a lot of people are stuck on the no tax on tip stuff or the entitlements. I'm telling you, there's so much bullshit in this bill. And I think one of the things that people like Marjorie Taylor Greene have figured out is that if that bill passes in its current form, that's going to be really bad for government. Not anybody not named Donald Trump. And so now I think that's why this is getting so loud, but it is what it is. All right, a couple more comments. Angelo, Musk will help restore checks and balances. Well,
maybe. Let's not give him more credit than he's earned.
Yeah.
I just think that this feud is good for our political conversation.
SpaceX is amazing, but I was always iffy about him.
Please. I just wouldn't get into it with Eric. Eric is about as two-faced on politics as it gets.
Tesla stock today took a nosedive because of it, and there's no controlling it.
Yeah.
That's why I said there's not a winner here. The country doesn't win, Elon's not going to win, and Donald's not going to win. But between those two, my guess is this bill goes away, or it will be dramatically different.
You have to do something about it.
Because it's the only way that you can appease Elon, in my opinion.
You can't pass it in its current form if you're Donald Trump. You just can't, because number one, it doesn't appease Elon, and number two, it's exposing all your allies in Congress. So you can't.
You will lose the midterm on this alone.
You cannot pass it in its current form. And then I think on following that, on the heels of that, I think you're having to figure out what the next story is, because I think that's what no one talks about with Donald Trump is the administration is really good at, this is not good for us. Let's get something else in the forefront. Let's get the media on something else.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
So I think, and I agree. And so that's why I'm saying I feel like this is the administration's, this is your hill to die on. This is the hill that you're either going to, find a way to create a compromise that you can spin in a positive way, or you're not going to do that and you're going to lose the midterms. And every administration inevitably has one of these events. And this is theirs.
I think, the midterms will be interesting. Capazzo, Monty, I'm with you about being able to agree to disagree. This is how reasonable adults should be. It is. We have to be able to discuss things.
Yeah, I just think, Capazzo, the NASA thing, whatever. That's not really even the point.
No.
The NASA's not really even the point here. The point is that Donnie doesn't have as many ways to win this fight as Elon does. And I am sure that with what you were saying, and a lot of people have said this on Twitter, and Fox was talking about it earlier, actually, that all the info that Elon gathered up while he was in government is sitting there at his disposal. So he has other things he can go to. So that's why I'm saying, what is the greatest deal maker the world's ever seen? Well, it's time to start backing that up. It's time to start making deals.
Yeah. No, but Capazzo, you're exactly right. We have to be reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seth Hatmaker, I don't know. Musk preparing for post-Trump world. I don't know. That's because it's the federal government at its best when we are talking about any low bid contracts.
Yeah.
Right. The idea of privatizing space was really Yeah. It's been a long time coming, and it has not worked out. Eric Wasikowski, 20% DNC approval until that number ticks up. Nothing to worry about. Dude, I don't care what the Democratic approval rating is. You're losing the midterms. You have, I think the last count was 18 Republican senators and reps who admitted they never read the bill. They never read the bill. Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I didn't read it, so I didn't know this part about can't sue, can't appeal, can't. She straight up said, I did not read the bill. Okay, so you just voted yes on a piece of legislation and didn't read it. Who's voting for that? And the sitting party usually loses the midterm anyway.
Yeah.
And there are no Democratic candidates. I agree with that. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You got to pass the bill before you find out what's in it.
Apparently,
NASA needs to make a big return to the spotlight somehow. I got to go take care of my wife. She just had sinus surgery.
Sorry to hear that.
Great
man.
show, Grim, as usual. Lewis, good to see you, man. See you tomorrow. Sinus surgery. I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's one of the most fascinating things we've ever seen. Donnie versus Elon. And
Epic.
Again, I'm sure there will be huge updates and debates all throughout time. So we'll see how that works out. But good conversation. I appreciate the tit for tat.
Yes.
Not everything has to be you're stupid and I'm smart. That's not how we discuss things. Let's move past that on this show. Let's exchange ideas. I agree with Capazzo 100%. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Getting an accident. We're in the middle of the 100 most dangerous days of the year, Memorial Day to Labor Day. If you're out there riding your bike, beautiful weather, please be careful. And if the worst happens, get to theadvocates.com where you get clear, risk-free advice 24/7, 365, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Until Monday, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.